So as we get set for this second half of this Brewers season, when we look at the upcoming schedule for the Brewers, you got the Marlins, obviously, this weekend. And if we kind of take a look at, looking forward, it's Mets after that. Then it's the Rockies. The Brewers are going to be at home for the next three series. So I look at this as an opportunity for the Brewers to get this second half going on a hot start. I think this is an advantage that the Brewers have to take. Now, it's not to diminish the Marlins because let's be real here. When you look at Marlins, Mets, Rockies, Marlins, as of right now, are the better team. Marlins are competing for a playoff spots. And we just went through the pitching matchups, and I think it's going to be a tough series for this Brewers offense. Hopefully, they're able to just explode and give their pitchers some run support. But this is an opportunity, I think, for the Brewers to begin this stretch here on a hot note. Take advantage that you're going to be at home for the next three series. You've been a really good team at home this year. You're going up against a Marlins team that, yes, is competing for a postseason spot, a Mets team that is not living up to expectations, and don't let this Mets team kind of get into a little bit of a rhythm. All right, don't let them, start to turn their season around. And then you got the Rockies coming in here, which I'm sorry, but you should be able to win that series against the Rockies. And then after that, you look at, okay, they hit the road, West Coast. Giants, they haven't been playing well at all this year either. And then it's the Angels to wrap up the month of July and into the early parts of August. This is an opportunity here for the Brewers to add up some wins, to rack up some wins. And hopefully, depending on what happens between Cubs and the Cardinals in their games, maybe even increase their lead in the division. You got to win these games against the Mets. You got to win these games against the Rockies, the Giants, and the Angels. If you want to be a World Series contending team, you can't begin this quote-unquote second half of the season on a slow note. You can't drop a bunch of these games because, yes, it is a 5-game lead in the division over the Cubbies. But that could go away just like that. A series or two, and that lead is gone. Or it's really, really close. And how the schedule is set up here for the Brewers, I think it's a really good chance for them to rack up some wins. And then even after the Angels, and if we kind of really look ahead to the beginning portion of August, the Brewers return home for a 4-game series against the Pirates. Hopefully, I know we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here, but hopefully the Brewers will be able to perform better in that series than what they did against the Pirates before the All-Star break. And then the Twins come over, and then Brewers go back to the West Coast against the Padres. And then you got that Dodgers one here. But I know it's, you got a few of these games like Pirates and Twins and Marlins. These are teams that are still going to be competing for postseason spots at that point in time. But, especially after we finish, games against the Marlins and then the Mets and then the Rockies. And then you get to the Giants series and you wrap that up. And you begin this series with the Angels. Right before that Pirates series begins, that's August 3rd. That is the trade deadline. So you are going to have those teams that are maybe on the fringe. This is going to be an important next couple weeks in the Major League Baseball season because maybe that some of those teams, are they going to be buyers or are they going to be sellers? Those fringe teams. That's going to be decided here in the next couple of weeks. If those teams go on runs, like let's say for the Tigers, for example, because that's the easy one with Scooble, right? What if the Tigers go on a little bit of a run here and make things really interesting? They may not trade any of their guys. They open up with the Angels. starting tonight. After that, it gets a little bit tough with a series against the Cubs. But what if they win that series against the Cubs? And then they got the Royals. And then they got Baltimore. After that is the Athletics. So a team like the Tigers, if they win a bunch of those games, they may not be sellers, and Scooble's going to finish off the season with Detroit. That's why these next 2 weeks is going to be a lot of fun. It's almost like kind of a playoff run. Because for some of these teams, that are still maybe deciding, man, do we maybe be a little aggressive at the trade deadline? Do we hold on to our guys and see if we can get to the postseason? Or do we just say, hey, you know what? It's been fun, but we know that we're not going to be legit competitors, even though we're in this thing from just a couple games back. We're still going to, trade some of those pieces. A perfect example might be a Twins team. So they open up against the Cubs. And then after that, they got the Guardians. That could be a big-time series in determining whether maybe they hold on to some players or not. I mean, they're, a game and a half out from wild card spot in that AL Central. Who knows what's going to happen? Can the White Sox hold on? Are the Guardians still going to win that division? So these next 2 weeks in baseball, or these next couple weeks here in baseball, there's going to be a lot of things to really pay attention to, and it's going to be, scoreboard watching. Can some of these teams, these fringe teams, start off on a hot note, begin on a hot note, and kind of determine whether they're going to be buyers out? These players, if they want to force the hand, if they want their GMs, their front office, their owners, or whomever to not be sellers, you could force the hand by winning some of these ball games. So, it's kind of like the playoffs. It's kind of like a mini version of the playoffs when you think about it and you kind of look at it. I think for me, when I look at some of these races, when it comes to these final couple months, AL Central is on there. I'm curious to see if the White Sox can hold on and maybe win this thing. I know they're tied up with the Guardians right now. But the AL Central, or could the Twins do this? What if the Tigers start off really hot? Because they still got talent. I mean, obviously they got some pitching, right? So if they begin on a hot note, they can make some noise in that AL Central. Other divisions I'm looking at, AL East. Can the Yankees catch up to the Rays? The Red Sox closed out right before the All-Star break, played some really good baseball. I mean, they were 9-1 in their last 10, and I believe a 9-game winning streak. And that has been a team that has been talked about as sellers. But they're 2 games under 500. And when you look at the American League so far, there's not a lot of teams that are out of it. So could Boston maybe screw this thing up, if you will? And then the American League West is just bad. You got one team that's above 500, and that's the Rangers, and they're only 2 games above 500. Which team's going to come out there? The Mariners going to be able to, they're only 1.5 back, but this was a playoff team, an ALCS team from last year. Can they get it going? The Athletics began the season really well, but they really limped into this All-Star break, only 1-9 in their last 10. National League-wise, that National League East is going to be a fun one to watch. Phillies are just 2.5 back from the Braves. Braves were controlling that division for a big portion of the season. Phillies make the move to fire their manager. Things turned around. How many times have we seen that in the sports world? Not just baseball, but football, basketball. Phillies are super talented. Pitching, offense, they're going to give the Braves a run for their money. Can the Braves hold on? We throw the Marlins in there. Marlins are 7 games above 500. They're only 4 back. Nationals, they're right there too. National League West is done. That's the Dodgers got that. So there's a lot of good division races setting up for this second half. That if you're a baseball fan, you got to love this, man. You got to love this. All right, we got to take our final break as we start to wrap up the first hour already here this morning. So let's do that. Don't forget, you can hit us up with some text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Give me some predictions. Give me your thoughts for the Brew Crew baseball overall. So send those on over. We'll wrap up the first hour. We'll do a little Packers training camp countdown. Let's talk a little bit about the tight ends. All right, we'll hit that up coming up after these quick words. We got some teams who will be starting training camp next week. Packers, it'll be a couple of weeks now. 29th, so 12 days until the first practice for the Green and Gold for their upcoming 2026 season. We have been doing a little bit of a countdown series to preview training camp and preseason, trying to answer some of the biggest questions and kind of taking a look at certain position groups and all that fun stuff. So with that being said, let's continue that countdown and let's take a look at the tight ends. It starts with Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft coming off the ACL injury from last year. All signs point to the recovery is going incredibly well. Even so much so that that kind of feels like he's going to be playing week 1. At least that's what Tucker Kraft sounds like he feels like. After that, though, after Tucker Kraft, the depth is, well, I would say not the greatest. Like last year when Tucker Kraft went down, there was no question. It's like, okay, this is a heck of an opportunity for Lucas Musgrave now. Lucas Musgrave was a higher draft pick than Tucker Kraft. Lucas Musgrave is a different tight end than Tucker Kraft. Lucas Musgrave is more of a pass-catching tight end, not great as an inline blocker, a little bit more stretching the field, going up the seam. So this, to me, is an incredibly important training camp and preseason for a guy like Lucas Musgrave entering this year, because if, knock on wood, Tucker Kraft misses any time, well, Musgrave's got to step up better than what we saw last year. And when you look past it, when you look past Musgrave, it's Josh Weil and Drake Dabney. Those guys are a little bit more the inline tight ends, blocking tight ends. I still feel like there is an opportunity for Lucas Musgrave to succeed in this offense. Now, when you look at it, when you factor in receivers, yes, you got a Watson, you got a Reed, you got a Matthew Golden. You're going to get Tucker Kraft more opportunities. You've got weapons. But I still believe that there is a role within this offense that can suit Lucas Musgrave's play style. I still feel like there is a role that they can carve out for him. It's just, one, will they? And two, can Musgrave take advantage of that, succeed with that? I mean, there's too many times I think we all could kind of go in our memory banks here a little bit, and dude, you got to figure out the feet, man. It reminds you when you see him trying to make some plays down the field or trying to catch the ball down the field. It's like, stay on your feet, dude. Got to stay on your feet, because there's been so many times it feels like he's been wide open. Just the feet get under him and he trips up and limits themselves in some of those big yardage situations. So, but yeah, I look at training camp and I'm looking at preseason because I don't see Tucker Kraft. This is just my opinion. I don't know for sure, but I don't see Tucker Kraft participating right away. So I look at those other guys, Musgrave, Josh, Dabney. Take advantage of these snaps. Take advantage of these reps. Take advantage of these opportunities. And I think this is a big season for Luke Musgrave. Now, I don't think he's going to be a priority in terms of free agent signings or anything like that. But I mean, maybe as if they could get him as a cheaper deal going forward, or maybe he's just better suited going elsewhere. But I think when we go back to the offseason, and whether it was a draft or free agency, tight end was kind of mentioned as, okay, maybe we need to improve the depth there. Maybe we need to get another tight end to back up Tucker Kraft, because Musgrave just hasn't hit the expectation level that I think a lot of us had as fans, but also maybe what the Packers had too. And maybe that changes this year. Maybe it just all kind of clicks. If we look at, maybe some of the guys who are still available out there, if Green Bay wanted to go that route, there are some veterans that Green Bay could look at bringing in. One of them is Zach Ertz. Now, I know he's up there in age, but in terms of maybe a potential backup, is he still recovering from injury? Mercedes Lewis is still out there, and we know Matt LaFleur loves him some Mercedes Lewis. Smith, I think was he with the Titans when Matt LaFleur was there? I think so too. So I mean, maybe Nick Van Etten with the Rams a long time. I believe he went to Ohio State, if memory serves me. But I mean, Josiah DeGuara is still out there too. I think going into this training camp, I feel like once in a while we get that surprise cut. We get that one player like, oh wow, they're moving on from him. Okay, that was a little bit of a surprise cut. I just wonder if Lucas Musgrave does not have a good training camp, does not have a good preseason. And maybe I'm overthinking this. That could very well be doing that. But if he doesn't, could that be a surprise cut and maybe they bring in a veteran? I tend to say no, just because you move on from him. Right now, your roster's not that great in terms of depth. So I would say no. But man, this is a very, very important preseason for him, for Josh Weil, for Dabney. We got to get some more production from those other tight ends outside of Tucker Kraft. I would love it if we could, because that is one thing too. When Kraft and Musgrave were drafted, what did we all kind of envision? 2 tight ends, right? 2 tight end sets. That's what we wanted to see. That's what we envisioned. And we haven't gotten that. Now, Tucker Kraft has, I think, fair to say, exceeded all expectations. Right? I mean, he has turned out to be one of the better tight ends in the league, the National Football League. Anybody who thought that when he was first drafted, you're lying. I'm sorry, I'm going to call you out, you're lying. Maybe outside of himself and his family. So that pick has hit. But the Musgrave one so far hasn't lived up to those expectations, especially, was it 2nd round pick? I'd like to have seen a little bit more production, a little bit more consistency from him. So I look at this as, an opportunity for him, especially if Tucker Kraft does begin training camp in these practices on the PUP list, where he's not going to be on the field practicing. These guys got to take advantage of this, and these guys got to just the play overall has got to be more. It's got to be better and more consistent. All right, we just have a few minutes left to the top of the hour. So coming up just past 7 o'clock, we'll catch up with our doc, Dr. Austin Crow, Triple Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for a little inside the training room. So we'll catch up with the good doc. After that, Brandon Berg will be joining us. We'll get back to some more Brewers chat. We'll do some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll hit up AJM Automotive's Pump to Brake Full Throttle. Also on the dockets, we'll do some cream of the crop. So if you'd like to do a little cream of the crop with us, if you'd like to make your picks, hey, feel free to do so. Send them on over via that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line with a quick text, 715-830-1912. So you can text those on over if you would like. And then whatever else is on your mind here this morning. You got a topic suggestion that you'd like to throw out there, or a question for the rest of the listeners, please do so. All right, send those on over too. It's an open house party on on a Friday morning as we start to wrap up this week and head into the weekend. So, a few messages here saying, I think the division race that this is from Ben, by the way. Ben says, I think the division race that I'm most intrigued about is going to be the NL East. Will the Phillies and Braves beat up each other, or will one of them separate from the pack? I think that could be whoever comes out of the NL East. I think that could be a very dangerous team in the postseason. Another texter, Aaron, texting in saying, I think the division that is going to be the best to watch is going to be that AL Central. Won't necessarily be the best baseball played, but there's 4 teams that could legitimately win that division. Yeah, you think about it. Twins, I'm not ready to throw the Tigers out of that conversation. I don't think anybody should be ready to, say the Tigers are out of that playoff hunt. They're too talented. They got the pitching to be able to do that. I'm curious to see if the White Sox can hold on. Is Cleveland going to do kind of what they did last year? I mean, they're in the driver's seat too. But remember last year they went on that insane run. They were so hot heading into the postseason. Are they going to do a similar thing? Tigers last year were great in the first half, and then they completely collapsed in the second half. Could they reverse it maybe and go on an insane run in this second half? So, I mean, there's definitely a lot of, I think, good races in these final 60-some games, depending on what team you're a fan of. Brewers have 66 games left of this regular season. There's a lot of good division races and a lot of good potential postseason races to kind of watch here as we get going, and especially in the first couple of weeks here with the trade deadline coming up on August 3rd. Some teams going to be using maybe these next couple of weeks to decide whether they are going to be buyers or sellers when it comes to that trade deadline. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut us off here in about 25 seconds. So we got news updates, and then we'll kick off the next hour chatting with Dr. Crow for our little Inside the Training Room segment brought to you by Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. We'll get his thoughts on Kyle Harrison, talk maybe a little bit more about Brandon Woodruff, since we haven't really gotten any more details about that. So we'll be right back after these quick news updates. All right, here we go. Second hour, kicking off on this Friday morning. Thanks for hanging out with us and making us a part of your start before you head off for the weekend. Coming up, we'll catch up with our buddy, Mr. Brandon Berg, Chippewa Herald. We'll do some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center with Brandon. We'll get back to some more baseball and Brewers chat. We've got our AJM Automotive Pump the Brakes Full Throttle coming up next hour, along with Cream of the Crop. If you want to make your picks for Cream of the Crop, please do so by hitting us up with a text on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, or you can hang out in the Section 105 chat room. We begin this hour, like we do every Friday, past 7 o'clock, catching up with our good doc, Dr. Austin Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Good morning, Austin. How you doing, sir? Oh, let's maybe not. Let's try this again. Why is that? Let's try it again here. I gotta love technology, right? So, let's see if we can get this going here. All right, Austin, can you hear me okay? Well, what the heck is going on? Maybe not. Let's try giving him a call here again, Sue. So, all right, just bear with us. Gotta love technology on a good old Friday morning, right? So we'll get to Austin here. See if that works out.
All right. Can you hear me this time?
I got you, Austin. How you doing, sir?
Perfect. I'm doing great.
All right. So happy Friday, bud. We got baseball back in action. So I want to lead off talking a little bit about Jacob Mizorowski, a player that we've talked quite a bit about now. He was originally supposed to make a start on Sunday, but the Brewers saying that he's got a little arm fatigue, and he's not even going to make a start this weekend. Now, they have downplayed it. Jacob Mizorowski has downplayed it. Should we as fans downplay it? When you hear a pitcher, especially Mizorowski, who throws really fast, and you hear arm fatigue, is there a little bit of concern with that?
I mean, at some level, there has to be. I wouldn't get too overly concerned, though. I mean, I think we've talked about this in the past. I mean, I think their leash on pitchers like this is very short. So as soon as they see any inkling of an issue, they'll nip it quick. So, the kind of term from the NBA, but load management. I mean, they're really trying to keep an eye on pitchers' shoulders, elbows, all those things that they have issues with. So, and obviously, if he felt perfect and didn't have any issue, would that be better? Of course it would, right? But um, we see this a lot with a lot of pitchers, especially guys who are starters who throw a lot of pitches at high velocity. So, I mean, I think is it worth kind of keeping an eye on? Of course it is. Would I be overly concerned? No, I wouldn't. I think this is kind of standard kind of load management that they do for pitchers. Now, if it starts extending or they start saying a specific, maybe it's elbow, maybe it's shoulder, then I would start getting a little more concerned. But as of now, it seems like it's kind of more standard load management.
Kyle Harrison, another Brewers pitcher, was put on the injured list with what they are calling forearm tightness. When you hear that phrase, forearm tightness, what are some of the possible issues that he's dealing with?
I mean, truthfully, it's got to be muscle based. I mean, there's not really a structure in the forearm that gets injured, whether it's from an acute injury. I mean, you can break bones and things like that, of course, but that clearly didn't happen. So it's got to be something in some of the muscles. So either the flexors or extensors. I mean, those muscles run. Flexors are of course on like the palm side. Extensors are on the back of the hand side of the forearm. Really, those are the main structures that are going to be involved. Obviously, pitchers use both of those when they throw. So, as it originates up at the elbow, that'd be golfer's elbow medially or tennis elbow laterally, respectively. So, I mean, it's certainly we see plenty of that in people who, whether they're athletic, whether they're just weekend warriors or people just doing daily activities, we can see irritation in those tendons pretty commonly. So I'm assuming it's going to be muscle based. Shouldn't be something that lingers too long, but sometimes they just need rest to again, same concept. You nip it early before it becomes a bigger problem. So they'll do that pretty frequently.
Shohei Ohtani did not play in the All-Star game, and he was scratched from his July 10th start with what the Dodgers are calling ongoing left knee inflammation. And the Dodgers said that he was expected to receive, quote, some interventions on his knee during the break. What do you think some of those interventions could potentially be when it comes to his knee inflammation?
Yeah. So if you look back, I mean, kind of the history of the knee. I mean, it's he's had some issues in the past. I know he had a procedure to remove an extra portion of a patella. He had what's called a bipartite patella, and so that's where you have your patella. Just when you're an embryo and then growing, you have separate ossification centers. Basically means your patella starts as kind of more than one piece of bone that coalesce together to make a solid piece of bone. Some people, it doesn't fuse. Now, a lot of people have that. I mean, we see that frequently in clinic, and 99% of the people, you have an X-ray and you tell them like, I have no idea I had that. It's just it's there their whole life, so it's usually not too big of a deal. But he had his removed at one point, so it's possible that could be the origins of it because he's had an issue with fluid on the knee. So whenever you see fluid in the knee, I will say that does certainly raise your eyebrows because I mean irritation around a joint super common, right? We can see all sorts of tendon issues, acute injuries, chronic stuff, whatever it may be. But when you start talking about fluid on a joint, then you start saying, all right, there's something that's clearly really irritating the joint. And if he had a really large bipartite patella, I mean the kneecap has cartilage surface, right? The back side of it, what rubs against your femur, that's cartilage. So if he's missing cartilage or some cartilage issues, that could be of concern. So, but to answer your question, well, you want to address what's going on. So they're probably going to aspirate it, meaning drain the fluid. Um, and then they're likely going to put something in there to try to address the inflammation. Now, really, the mainstay of those are going to be if you're looking for a short burst of improvement, a corticosteroid, that's probably not what they're going to do. I mean, maybe if they're like right for the World Series, the final push, that would be a reasonable option. But for long-term management in a young athlete, that's not really going to be what you want to do. Then you're starting to look at, I'm sure he's going to be looking at kind of the biologic family. So that's where people are getting the PRP, stem cell injections like that. And so, whether he does that stateside, a lot of these guys are going over to Europe because they've been doing the biologics over there longer. I mean, we do the same stuff here as they do there, but it's just some of those practitioners have just been doing it for a lot longer. So my guess is it's going to be drain the fluid and then do a PRP or like a PRP stem cell type injection.
I just again, I think we might have to rename the segment after him. I keep thinking David Bakhtiari, the way you were kind of
Yeah,
describing some of that stuff.
absolutely. I mean, that is there's a lot of different things on exam, that we're looking for when we're first assessing a patient. But when it comes to a knee, if there's fluid on the knee's just not happy. I mean, so the fluid, it comes from the joint lining. So the synovium makes extra fluid. It's in response to being irritated. So something is irritating the joint. Now, sometimes it's just an acute injury. You twist your knee, you have a mild sprain, a bone contusion. Those can all result in a fusion. So it doesn't necessarily mean something terrible. But in a guy who's having kind of more now, I'd say kind of, we're not like in the chronic phase, but certainly it's been going on for a while. He's been dealing with this. If there's still fluid in the knee, his knee's not happy. And you start saying, okay, is this a problem that's going to keep coming back? And the answer is sometimes it is. And that's why if he has a significant cartilage issue in the back of his kneecap, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be career threatening at all, but could this be something he now deals with in essentially in perpetuity? Possibly it is. So it is absolutely something worth keeping your eyes on, and this could be an issue that he just has to deal with. And then you start talking about, okay, well, he's a guy who pitches and plays in the position. Obviously a rare player, but he may have to start looking at doing some, quote unquote load management himself to deal with this. So, but we'll see how it plays out.
The Brewers acquired a pitcher with a long injury history earlier this week, Lance McCullers Jr., who is currently on the injured list, and they're calling it a right rotator cuff impingement. Can you explain that for us? What a right rotator cuff impingement means?
Yeah. So impingement syndrome, there's two types. There's what we call rotator cuff impingement. So that's kind of the more classic. Like when most of the people listening right now, if they've had that's the type that we're talking about. So when the arm gets in usually an abducted or rotated position, as you lift your arm up and rotate, the rotator cuff itself, and it's really actually not so much the rotator cuff, it's the bursa that lays on top of it, will hit or impinge, that's where the term comes from, against the acromion, which is the bone in the top of the shoulder. So we see that pretty commonly. People have pain, usually in the top and side of the shoulder. Chronic impingement is thought to potentially lead to rotator cuff tearing in some cases. The other what we call internal impingement, which is more commonly seen in pitchers, but it sounds like that's not the type. He has internal impingement. That's where when the arm comes through with a pitch, the rotator cuff will rub against the superior labrum, and that can result in flap tears, so the tearing of the labrum. So basically, internal impingement, it rubs below rotator cuff, or external impingement where it rubs against the top. And so, impingement, of course, means to hit or rub. So we both of those can occur. Interestingly, his is kind of the more mundane version, if you will. Um, but we'll see both of those. But one of the more common issues with young pitchers and all the way up to professionals is that internal impingement. But they spend a lot of time stretching and working on exercises to avoid that. But that can be a bad situation, because once that occurs, then they can start developing slap tears, and that basically affects the anchor of the biceps and can even cause some friction tearing of the rotator cuff. So you don't like to see that. So for external though, generally a little bit less of a long-term problem. My guess is that would be treated with some physical therapy, maybe some anti-inflammatory injections, and then hopefully it's something that goes away. But some people will get chronic issues with that. So I guess I don't know if that's his first bout with it. If it is, probably wouldn't be too worried. If it's multiple bouts, then you start saying this may be a recurrent problem.
Well, I was looking at his history. He did have Tommy John. I believe it was in 2019, and then in 2023, he actually like missed 2.5 seasons. He began in 2023 with they said developed a muscle strain in his right arm, and then on June 14th of 2023, he underwent a season-ending surgery to repair a flexor tendon in his pitching arm and remove a bone spur. And so he missed a lot of time. They said
Hmm.
915-day absence from that
Hmm.
surgery. So I mean, is that a little unique to miss that amount of time for a flexor tendon repair?
Yeah, well, very. I mean, I'm just trying to think. The biggest, most complex surgeries we do. I mean, that's like a 2.5, 3 year absence. I mean, that's. Um, I mean, so that certainly tells us there was complications along the way. So whether it was a healing issue, something that required revision surgery, something that required additional injections to address, just prolonged physical therapy to get over the hump. I don't know, but absolutely that is not a standard recovery for any surgery. I mean, even massive complex reconstructions, multi-ligament knee reconstructions. I mean, we don't quote people 2, 3 years for that even. So, yeah, that's something went awry with that surgery. I can tell you for sure.
Well, we got NFL training camp for some teams starting next week, and I know we got to be getting closer for you guys in high school
Hmm.
as well. For somebody in your field, what would be something to really watch, or maybe for these younger athletes that are listening to get these practices underway? Because I feel like, especially in the training camp for the NFL, you know, we see some of these injuries right away. Is it just because they exert themselves really quick, Austin, or is it,
Hmm.
not properly stretching or anything like that? What are some of those maybe reasons that pop up that we see some injuries right away to open up training camp?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's multiple factors at play. I mean, no matter how hard you train in the off season, it's never hard as camp is going to be. So there's always an element of you're pushing the body. You're going to be getting, fatigue in the muscles, strain on the tendons. So you're always at risk for injuries to the muscle belly, musculotendinous junction. So quote unquote pulling muscles. That's certainly something that you're going to see commonly. So I mean, the best thing that guys can do coming into the season is be as in good a shape as they can be. So make sure that their cardiovascular shape, make sure that their muscles are in good a shape as possible. Certainly a good stretching routine coming in. If people have any aches and pains as far as tendons are concerned, make sure they're addressing those with a good stretching program. Hydration is super important. I mean, hopefully it cools down before camp comes,
Yeah.
because I might keel over on the sidelines myself if it doesn't cool down a bit, and the smoke too, for that matter. Holy cow! So, but I mean, those are things that there's always going to be that element of fatigue, and that once you introduce that, then you start getting biomechanics go out the window. So, people, if you're tired, you're running and jumping, your knee buckles or something happens. I mean, we do know that there's a correlation with fatigue and injuries, acute injuries, even so like ACL tears, things like that. So, the better shape you can be coming in, the better off you'll be. But there's never you can never fully prepare for it, right? You always come in the first handful of days of camp, whether it's 2 days or one of days, that are really hard and intense. I mean, you're going to be sore and tired. So there's always an element of that. But again, hydration, stretching. If you have something that starts bothering you, get it addressed by a medical professional or your athletic trainer as soon as possible. So nip things early. That'd be my biggest recommendation. But I mean, just like every single season, we're going to see it. There's going to be, whether it's high schoolers, whether it's collegiate, whether it's NFL. I mean, there's guys that are going to get, they're going to pull their hamstring, they're going to get a torn tendon. I mean, it's just part and parcel with guys that are just pushing their bodies to the limit, and then sometimes the body pushes back.
Yeah. He's Dr. Austin Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for Inside the Training Room. Man, appreciate the time as always, sir. Enjoy the rest of the week. Stay cool and we'll catch up with you next week. Okay, bud?
Yeah, so hopefully everyone stays cool, and maybe the smoke will blow a different direction today. It looks a
Yeah.
little clearer today, so hopefully that sticks around. But yeah, have a great weekend and take care.
You got it. There you go. There's Dr. Austin Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Let's take a quick break, and we'll get Mr. Berg joining us coming up after these few words. As always, a big thanks to Dr. Crow for joining us every Friday morning for our Inside the Training Room. And we go from Dr. Crow, as always, to our guy, Mr. Brandon Berg, this morning. Good day, sir.
Good morning.
Is the smoke better out there?
It's better.
Okay.
It's better.
All
I mean, it's, I was joking because yesterday when I was driving to, Carson Park for your outing,
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like I'm driving in the mountains just because you look around and you really can't see much. I know Wednesday I went for a bike ride and I was north of Jim Falls, and normally you can kind of look over to the left over the river and you can kind of see the road. And I'm like, you can't really see the road. You can kind of see the trees a little bit, but no, it seems like it's better.
Yeah. Yeah, it does, and I know it's supposed to be, but then maybe another wave this weekend they're talking about.
We'll see.
So, but
Yeah.
I think that rain last night, as much as it affected our plans,
Put
it
a
did
damper
help.
on the Dan 40th birthday celebration.
But big thanks again for everybody, including yourself, that stopped by.
It was a fun group.
We still did tailgating.
We did.
Yeah.
in between the rainstorm. So.
Yep, and even after we were outside tailgating. So, but big thanks for everybody who still showed up and stopped by and hung out for a while too, because we were there for
a bit, a couple hours.
Yeah, we were. So a lot of fun. But we get back to baseball with the Brewers tonight. Before all that, though, gotta ask Lance McCullers and is it Gordon with? It's almost an early pump the brakes full throttle. I almost feel like, was Gordon the guy they wanted when you kind of hear Matt Arnold's, and McCullers was just kind of added on for a little bit? It almost gave that impression.
A little bit. I mean, obviously, McCullers is probably one people have heard from or heard of. I mean, I think my overall just view of the trade is, I don't think the odds are very high that Lance McCullers is going to be a viable option for the Brewers, just because, looking at his numbers the last few years, and he's struggled to stay healthy. But at the price, it's worth a try.
Yeah.
So, and if nothing else, he is a good person to have in the clubhouse. He does kind of fit that role of a potential veteran that we've been talking about. Well, do they need it? Especially with Brandon Woodruff being down, do they need a, kind of a veteran that's been there? And he's won a couple World Series in Houston, so he knows, kind of the rigors of, pennant race action.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, like. Yeah, is this one of those where, in a year or two, we're kind of looking back like, oh, yeah, that's right. Colton Gordon was kind of the other guy in that deal, kind of.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Lance McCullers Jr. obviously has the World Series experience. He's a big name, but, I mean, you look at that as a long injury history.
It is. It's a bit Brandon Woodruff-like.
It is.
Where, it's been a struggle, except that, the difference there is, Woodruff, we've seen that, even though he's battled the injuries, like, he's still been productive.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, McCullers has had some struggles here these last few years, but getting to the end of a rehab, outing, so to speak. So I think they're kind of, it sounds like there's a decent chance the next game he pitches in will be in Milwaukee or with Milwaukee. So,
right.
That's kind of the question of where to go from here. Then Gordon was optioned at AAA, so, he'll start there. He's been kind of bouncing back and forth between AAA and the majors with Houston. So, but yeah, another arm to kind of add to the shuttle squad, I'm sure.
Do we give the Brewers the benefit of the doubt? Looking at some of the pitchers that they've acquired, and I'm kind of looking at for Gordon in this case, with Priester last year, Kyle Anderson, Shane Drone, Brandon Sproats.
Well, even someone like, I look at someone like a Grant Anderson, who is not a front of the bullpen guy, but he's been, even though he's had some blow-ups over the years, certainly, he's still been a valuable guy for the Brewers. He's a guy that's been able to provide innings. He's, and he was a guy that they got, I believe it was like a waiver wire trade, where he was on waivers in the Brewers trade. I think it was the Rangers. But like a guy like that, who you can get a couple years of value out of, those are the moves that sometimes aren't really talked about, because all those guys you mentioned have quickly become, upper echelon guys for the team. But it also, when you have success, it's built on guys that you can just get quality innings out of, but maybe aren't the the top of the rotation or the back end of the bullpen guys. So if nothing else, at this point, I think the team definitely, I think at this point, people should just kind of like, well, we'll see, as opposed to like, oh, that's terrible, there's no way that works. Like, well, you can't really say that, because obviously the Brewers have made it work with a lot of people before. So it's just kind of oh, okay.
And I know it's a cute story. Yes, it was Prince Fielder's kid who was traded, but It wasn't like he was a top prospect.
Right. I mean, he was not. I believe he was
undrafted.
He was undrafted. I mean, he's 21, playing in A ball, and really didn't have a defensive home. I think he'd been doing a lot of DHing. And his numbers were all right. I mean, I think built up mostly because he walks a lot. But I mean, if it was Jaden Smith or Jaden Davis, that was traded, I don't think there. I mean, even not there was necessarily even an uproar, but I'm sure there were people that, especially with this the drafting of CeCe Sabathia's son, people like, oh, maybe they can play it, and it's like, well, yeah, but I mean, look, that's just kind of how it is. You can't. I'm gonna get all bent out of shape because of that. Oh boy,
that's the creepy Devil's Backbone Unsolved Mysteries part. It's coming up after the break. Sorry.
Okay, but so I mean, it's just, but at that price, I mean, it's worth the attempt. I don't think there's a very high odds that it works. To a significant end, especially on the McCullers end.
Right.
But at the price, it's hard to really fault it.
Yeah. I mean, really quick, because I know we got to take a break here, and I know you kind of mentioned it last week. It is hard to gauge draft class when it comes to baseball.
Right.
I mean, cool story with Ebel, the brothers.
Yeah, and
their dad is with the Dodgers.
Yeah, he's the third base coach for the Dodgers.
Through was Bryce Harper's BP guy in the home run derby. So, but I mean, who knows how that's going to play out?
Right.
I just feel like is it best available at that certain time?
The baseball draft is always unique because the signability is always so big.
Yeah, that too.
So it's not even necessarily the best player available. Because you look at even with the first round pick, you'll see teams that draft guys that are maybe on your BPA board or someone's BPA board pretty low. Because I mean, I've seen some some people that maybe had Abel as a second or third round pick, but if they knew they could sign him. The thing that's unique with baseball is the bonus money pool, where players sign and you get a certain amount of money, and based on the number of draft picks you have and where they are, you are slotted a certain amount of money per pick. Each pick is worth a certain amount.
Yeah, and
you have that the accumulation of whatever draft picks you have. That's the money you had to work with. So sometimes you'll have teams sign somebody or draft somebody in the first round because they know they can pay him a little less, but then they can use that money and draft maybe somebody a little lower, and they can pay him a little bit more. And I mean, an example of this honestly would be Jacob Mizrowski, where he had, I believe was it LSU? Because he was in JUCO when the Brewers drafted him, and he had because there's certain times you can draft people. It's out of high school. It's after their sophomore or their junior. I forget. There's 2 or 3 times where players are draft eligible, and so he had an offer to go. I want to say it was LSU or Mississippi. It was some big SEC school, but because the Brewers had more money they could give him compared to the bonus slot, what he might get, he decided to go pro, obviously, and and then kind of the talk, obviously, a couple years later was, well, if he went pro, he'd probably been a top 10 pick, and obviously, even now knowing what we know,
right?
But it's just the draft is always so finicky like that. And the Brewers over the last few years have been really good at that, of being able to target guys in the 4th, the 5th, the 6th round. I think Cooper Pratt was another one of these guys where they were able to pay them more because they drafted people in the first round that maybe they were able to pay a little less.
Gotcha.
They spend all the money they're allowed. They just don't do it as in the way
they maybe don't draft as high as the prospect with that first
round.
Right.
But they know, and I'm sure with Ebel that it's Ebel. That's obviously there's a relationship already there with that family. I'm sure there was kind of the thought. There was kind of the thought of okay, well, we know he's somebody that we're probably going to be able to sign maybe for a little less, and then we can put that money elsewhere. Especially with really, the Brewers only had, I think, 2 top 100 picks this year, which is the fewest they've had in a while. So that's even then, that's just they had less ammunition, so to speak. But the baseball draft is always very unique in that way.
So there's a little bit more strategery.
There's a lot of strategery involved.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll have more Brewers talk, baseball talk coming up after these few words. We are actually broadcasting from my cave. Big thanks to Tanglewood Greens and Menominee for that. We got to go back to Tanglewood
Yes, we
Greens
do.
and do another round or few over there. Just a fantastic looking course, and I want to try the Top Tracer.
Yeah,
over there.
we were there. It was busy, but that looked cool. Yeah,
Yeah. So I want to find out where they got the Bigfoot photography in the men's bathroom, the Bigfoot golfing pictures. So it's like now I know you're
like,
legit
now I'm
when
home.
Yep, exactly. So we got Brewers. We know the starters. It's Logan Henderson, it's Shane Drowan, and Robert Gasser going. Brad, I was looking at the schedule here. Now the Brewers are going to open up with 3 series at home. You got Marlins, then it's the Mets, and then the Rockies, and then they go to the West Coast to take on the Giants, and then the Angels. I look at this as an opportunity for the Brewers to get off on a really hot start. Marlins are a good team; they've showcased that this year. So, in looking at the pitching matchups, they're going up against some tough arms.
the Marlins are definitely starting the second half with their big arms, and they've got some good pitchers.
Yeah. So I mean that's going to be a tough test, but looking after that. The fact that the Brewers have been really good at home and looking at some of these teams, how important is it for the Brewers to make sure that they get off to a hot start in this quote-unquote second half of the season?
Very important. I mean, obviously the way that the Pirates series went, allowed the Cubs to close in a little bit. I mean, still 5 games up, but still, like I think you just want to be able to start the second half, especially going into the trade deadline with that feeling of like, you're putting your best foot forward and, you're making a run at, not only the division, but also, still within striking distance of maybe that top seed with the Dodgers.
Right.
Knowing that, once you get into the middle part of August, there is a big 4-game series with the Dodgers in LA.
Yeah.
Like, obviously that's a bit down the road, but still that's, you want to just, and I think too, being, knowing that, I mean, we know the starters for this series, but we assume, once you get that Mets series early next week, then some of the guys that maybe aren't listed here, Mizrowski, et cetera, will probably be pitching in that one. I mean, that's just the way it sets up now. It gives them a chance to give, Miz essentially 2 weeks off, which is nice,
right?
To be able to get that in there. So, but yeah, no, you've got, it's been a while since they played at home. They got 9 at home here through really until that last week of July. So yeah, they got a nice chance here to maybe go out and start stacking some wins again after a nice breather.
I look at across for Major League Baseball too. I almost term this it's almost like a playoff field with so many teams that are still in it, and with a trade deadline coming up on August 3rd, I use the term playoff field because I feel like some of those teams, if they don't get off to a good start, or they don't rack up a lot of wins, they got decisions to make, like the Tigers, for instance.
Right. You don't have a lot of true sellers right now, but that could change in a week or a week and a half.
Right. I mean, Tigers are not that far out, and you look at their schedule, and it's very out. They open up against the Cubs, but after that, it's very winnable. Twins also mixed in there. Actually, the Twins and Cubs open up, I think.
I think you're right.
Open up. But you look at a lot of these other teams too. Teams can force the decision makers what to do based off how many games they win or lose at this point. So that's where it's exciting too. I think even if you're not a Brewers fan, but you're just a baseball fan or whatever, you look at a lot of these races. And it's going to be a fun couple of weeks here to do a lot of scoreboard watching, especially if you have certain guys that you're wishing your team can go after.
Right.
You're hoping maybe that particular team just tanks it and collapses so that they could be available.
Right. I mean, it really could be a seller's market, for a team like the Mets, teams that we know are going to be out of it and, looking to move some pieces. Like, you could probably have a lot of teams interested in what you got.
Right. I think... Again, I bring it up, but the Tigers are one, and you look at what the Tigers did last year, a great first half, and then they collapsed in the second half. Could they reverse that this year?
Right.
I mean, they got talent. It's hard not to see them, and considering the division they play in, you got 4 teams that are within striking distance.
Pretty much everyone but the Royals, right?
Yeah. And, I look at that division, too. Can the White Sox hold on? Will the Guardians do what they did last year and just have a great second half? The Twins are still in it too, so it's not the greatest baseball, but it's still a really fun division to watch.
I mean, even looking around like the AL East, like even a team like right now the Blue Jays are in last place, but they're 45-51.
Yeah, and the Red Sox won 9 in a row before the All-Star break.
Right,
so.
it's hard for me to see the Blue Jays flat out selling out. I mean, especially after they went to the World Series last year. Like, I'm sure they probably, they can probably even look at the Red Sox and say, hey, maybe we can be a team to make the run. We talked about the Central.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Royals are really the only one that are out of it. They're 21 games under. So
AL West just stinks.
AL West is not good at all. The Angels, once again, they're pretty well out of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, then you look at the NL. Really, the Mets.
The East turned fun now.
Yeah, oh, yes. You got 4 teams within 8 games. I mean, the Nationals just under 500.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Reds in the Central. And then obviously, I mean, really the NL West is kind of the only division where maybe you have multiple teams that are flat out of it.
Yeah.
With the Rockies and the Giants.
Right. And Diamondbacks and Padres still for the wild card.
Right, yeah, they're not catching the Dodgers, but yeah, they could still be in contention for the wild card.
Right. So I mean, there's a lot of intriguing stuff to watch for baseball in the next couple of weeks when it comes to that trade deadline, because I would imagine a lot of those teams that we just mentioned, those fringe teams, they probably don't know what the plan is. They maybe want to see how their team comes out of this break.
Yeah, if they have a 6-1 week, or have 2 weeks where they're 12-1, or just happen to really stack wins, suddenly that can change a lot.
Right. I did find it interesting. One of the reports out there was the Rays were going to be aggressive, and they mentioned Skubal as a target for them, which, I mean, you look at the Rays, there's a lot of similarities to the Brewers, which I'm sure is, pushing Brewers fans. So, hey, if the Rays are going to do this, why can't we do this? But I still don't see it being Skubal, and I don't know if this is the only trade, but I'm going to use a phrase that you have said over the years. You're okay with it as long as it's not the only one?
Yeah. If it's a move, it's fine. If it's the move, then it's not.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I don't know if that's more pitching. It seems like they want more pitching.
I think so. Yeah, one of the things that maybe is going to start to become maybe a little bit more of an issue is maybe another, we talked about bullpen arm, but maybe another lefty. I mean, Ashby, his numbers since the beginning of June have not been good. Yeah. Jared Koenig has not looked the same since he's come back from his injury. DL Hall is obviously still injured. Drowan, I think probably all things being equal, probably staying in the rotation.
Right.
So, is that something they're looking for? Is just another lefty? Maybe.
Well, Gordon's a lefty, right?
So Gordon is a lefty. So, I mean, maybe they're going to, take a little time, tinker with him at AAA, and maybe he's someone they think, well, if we, this, that, and the other thing, maybe he's someone that, could be in that mix.
Also, too, I think it was from was it Sunday? I don't know if it was Todd Rosiak or Kurt Hogg mentioned that Jet Williams was going to be a call-up until he had gotten hurt. I don't know if that timeline-wise, was that why Lara was called up, or if it was a little bit after that. But, I mean, it seemed like, okay, if that's the case, maybe it's just watch time now whenever that move is going to happen. And does a lot of it depend on what Joey Ortiz continues to do at third base?
Probably. I think so. I think, all things being equal, if he hits enough, I think the Brewers would be fine just keeping Ortiz at third base and playing him every day, because, the defense is never the question. It's just, offensively, can he do enough at the bottom of the order to, to warrant everyday at bats?
I'm really, I think, outfield-wise, I'm curious on how Murphy's going to do this rotation with Frelick and Mitchell and Lara. I don't know if it's like an everyday sort of thing, because Churio's going to be the everyday guy out there.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, if he's playing there we go. Say he's playing every day in left, just to say, obviously, that's really 3 guys for 2 spots. And how do you make that work? Because, I mean, you've got, it is kind of sectioned off more righties and lefties. I mean, right now, obviously, Garrett Mitchell, of the 3, has had the most track record of success this year. Obviously, Frelick more so over the longer term. And then you got Lara, who's done some good things since he's gotten called up.
Right.
And certainly he's somebody they want to make sure they're playing often if he's going to be up.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough question, but, that's that's part of what being a manager is.
Yeah. Yelich, is he the guy that has to, if we have to pick a guy, position player that has to have that surge, is it Christian Yelich?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe one. I mean, just getting back to just the guy he's been the last couple years. I mean, obviously we know the 2018, 2019, that's probably not happening, but
Right.
like just, and I think the second half with him, the biggest thing I'm looking for is just, can you get better at laying off the breaking balls down and in? I mean, that's, I know people have, I think it was maybe Kurt Hogg, whoever it was, that written a piece about just the struggles he's had with that. Like, and you can see teams are attacking him there. It's off speed down in, and he just, he just can't, for whatever reason, it's just been something he's really struggled with. Can he really just lay off that, because there's not really much you're going to do with it, and just for whatever reason, it just looks really enticing. But yeah, that's, can he do that and kind of get back up to speed? And the weird thing is, like, him hitting leadoff, like, it doesn't really bother me, even though the numbers obviously aren't great there for him. But like, I just don't know who would it be? Like, maybe Garrett Mitchell. Obviously, the strikeouts are something people would point to, but if he's hitting 270 or 280 and his on base percentage is 350, that doesn't really bother me. Because like, if he was striking out 20% of the time, you'd say, oh, that's great. That's great for a leadoff hitter. But if he's striking out 34% of the time, it's like, well, does it really matter? Like, if he's getting on base 35% of the time, and he's getting hits 27% of the time, like, does it really matter what he's doing in those other at bats?
Maybe they gotta put our guy Salvatore there, and maybe that's what gets him going. Salvatore, he takes walks. He does, right?
And the numbers are trending up for him in the right direction. I mean, Luis Lara does too. So.
And he's got speed. Well, they both got speed.
Right. I mean, there's speed all around the lineup. And, like, I wouldn't mind them trying something different. And maybe just moving Yelich back to, like, the 5 or the 6 spot. Like, maybe that would even just kind of maybe allow him to just take a different approach. Just a little bit of a mental break. Like, because we know that there's nobody that puts more pressure on themselves to produce than Christian Yelich. He's talked about how, he understands what he is like to the Brewers, as far as, not just a leader, but like, he's the guy that they pay. Like, he understands he's kind of the franchise guy.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm just kind of curious to see if there's any tweaks or anything different there.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a quick break as we wrap up the second hour. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, we got a few minutes left to the top of the hour. Brandon's not going to be able to hear it, but I don't even know if he can hear me right now. C-Bomb's trying to call in. C-Bomb, you there?
Do you got me, El Capitano?
Oh, I got you. What do you want?
Well, first off, good morning, gentlemen. And you know what, El Capitano? Oh, I got you in the background here. I just want to tell you, you're a man. You're 40.
That's the best impression you can do, or are you at work and so you got to be careful?
I'm at work. I can't be too loud. I got the door shut, but man, I'm a little fired up. You're finally a man, Dan. I'm happy for you. Happy birthday, brother.
I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by yesterday, man.
Hey, I had a good time, even though we only were there for a little bit, and it's really pretty bad that the weather. I mean, boy, that field took on a lot of rain, but it was still cool hanging out with all you guys, and we had that good Bent Paddle Brewing Company beer, that Legends beer that Park Ridge had in there. So that was awesome.
It was definitely. It was just good to see you too, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was good seeing you. It was good seeing Brandon over there. Did I see you on the video stream handing him a mic and freak?
You did. So Brandon can't hear you, so I'll just say C-Bomb just asked. He's like, "Did I see you on the video stream hand Brandon a mic and freak pass?" So Brandon's actually busting out of retirement.
I'm gonna give it a shot next, so we'll see.
Yeah, playing in a softball tournament in Lublin.
So we'll see how that goes.
Oh,
and I do not have a bat that I would feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So Dan's gonna let me borrow it.
Well. Hey, with that bat, he can hit
your
the
old
tank
eyes are
out
not causing tricks. So.
Yeah. Well, it's not the original Freak C-Bomb, so that's it's a different. It's I think probably 09, like 10 version or whatever it came out. So.
For those that know, the original Mike and Freak, boy, that thing was something else.
Oh, remember the Ultra 2? Holy moly, dude.
Oh yeah, insane.
Yep.
In fact, the Croplins up in Lublin first used that way back in the day. Boy, that was in the late 90s.
Well, that's the team Brandon's playing with. The old Croplins asked him to play with him, so that's who he's playing with.
We're gonna have some fun.
I love it. Do they still have that big gray infield?
Brandon, do they still have the big gray infield in Lublin? Do you know?
I don't know. It's been a few years since I've been there.
Okay, you gotta let us know because that's I can still picture that thing. And if they still have the bed sheet that says "Hit it here, win a beer."
Oh yes. Oh,
those were
good times. You see, those are the things I miss from back in the day. That's good. Brandon's gonna have to give us updates on how it goes.
Absolutely. All right, C-Bomb. Hey, thanks for the phone call, bud.
Well, happy birthday, brother. You guys have a great weekend. Great talks on the Brewers. Looking forward to the second half. Thanks for having me, Dan.
Thanks, buddy. There you go. There's C-Bomb hopping off. The former Class D slow pitch state MVP.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I always have to say that when I talk about C-Bomb. So, but yeah, he's that should be. He said you have to give us updates on how it goes.
Update.
You might have to do a video blog.
Oh my gosh.
I'm kind of jealous that
should I get a trench coat and the Robert Stack?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Update. Brandon went 0 for 3 with 3 ground outs.
We're gonna pump you up for this.
Oh boy.
Return to Lublin softball, man. I mean, come on.
I'm excited. It's gonna be fun.
Well, he was talking about. He's like, yeah, the Croplins in the '90s were the ones that brought the Ultra 2s. I'm like, well, that's what Brandon's playing with. So.
In the 90s?
Late 90s.
Oh, late 90s, I suppose, yeah.
Late 90s, so. But, good stuff. We're hopefully working on a little softball thing for next year. We got some ideas being.
Bouncing some stuff around.
Yep. All right, 30 seconds to the top of the hour here, so we'll kick off the next hour. He was trying to do his best Mike Gundy impression. I'm a man, I'm 40, so that's why you couldn't hear it.
You are 40 years old. It's crazy. You're 40 and you're old, yet I'm 40 and I'm not old.
Well, you don't look as old.
How does that work?
Yeah, you don't look as old.
I mean, my hair would say other.
Oh, yeah. You're still a bachelor, so that's part of it. We got halftime approaching here. We'll be right back after these news updates. All right, halftime's over with, and we are on to the third quarter on this Friday morning of July 17th. A big thanks for making us a part of your starts and tuning in, however, wherever you may be tuning in. We'll get back to some more baseball talk with the Brewers back in action. It was felt like a long all-star break. I don't know, but we got that. We got AJM Automotive Pump the Brakes full throttle coming your way here this morning. Let's kick off the third hour, though, with a little cream of the crop. Brandon, I'll let you go first. Who is your cream of the crop?
For my cream of the crop this week, I am actually going to go with Bucks rookie Braden Burries this week in Summer League play. Very encouraging. Good stuff. I mean, it's definitely somebody that, I mean, look, he sat their last game in part because I think they said, okay, we saw what we need to see, but averaged more than 22 points, nearly 5 rebounds, 4 assists. But it wasn't just the numbers he put up. Like, you could just tell, like, okay, he looks the part. Like, he was just very composed and controlled, didn't really turn the ball over at all. Like, for obviously a team that's going to be leaning on, I'm sure, him and some others, especially early on with this, obviously as this rebuild kicks off. Like, that was just an encouraging thing when prior to this, I can't remember the last time, like, there was anything noteworthy that came from the Bucks in Summer League play. But no, it was really good to see for kind of an opening salvo for a guy that, they're going to be leaning on.
I've got, you're right, though, because he's been really impressive to begin his Summer League career. I got a couple, actually. I'm going off the wall here with two of these. First of all, cream of the crop. I got to figure out something once they figure out the actual dates. But I think we need to make this an event. The new Rocky trailer looks epic. I play Rocky, that movie. So, I mean, I'm looking behind you. I'm a huge Rocky fan.
Do you like Rocky?
I like Rocky a little bit. I mean, I got Rocky 4 there. So, if you have not watched the trailer, I will keep saying it looks awesome. The guy who plays Sylvester Stallone sounds like him and looks like him. So, cream of the crop. I'm putting all my eggs in that basket, and I'm ready to be disappointed if it's a stinky movie. My second one, Mr. Brandon Berg, because he picked up the Tecmo Bowl Super Bowl Nintendo game. I'm gonna be playing this later today, probably with Hudson, and introducing him to Tecmo Bowl. So, big thanks for Brandon
Happy
Berg
birthday.
for that. So that was awesome. Big thank you, sir. So. Let's do, because I know it's a little bit of a shortened version, but I want to highlight this because it's a really good piece that Brandon wrote for the Chippewa Herald, Chippewa.com. And you wrote about the CRBL. And I know, we're in the season and such, but for anybody who hasn't read it, just kind of give us a little bit of a preview, and so that we can get more people to read it. But you kind of talked about the history of the CRBL
a little bit. But during the All-Star game at the start of the month, I chatted with a bunch of the All-Stars, just players from all different teams, and the crux of the story was I wanted them to describe to me what the CRBL meant to them in one word, and then obviously they could describe on that. Just kind of what's the one word that you think of, and there was a variety of them. It was very interesting. Like it was just because obviously this is, the CRBL is one of the longest leagues of its type in the country. Like Andy Neese does such a great job of, maintaining and chronicling the history. I mean, he's got one of his, every year he's come out with a book where, basically a historical book that goes deep into the history. And one of them, I believe, is actually in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Oh, really?
If I remember correctly, like he submitted one, and it's there. But, the history for the league itself goes back to the early 20th century, and there's been so many, great things that have come through the league. And I'm just kind of curious, like obviously, if a league like that is going to continue to not only survive but thrive, like the CRBL is, you have to have people that are passionate about it. So I'm just curious, what is it? And talking with so many people, getting a lot of really interesting answers, the family aspect, just the, kind of the love of the game aspect. I mean, you've got players who are fresh out of high school. You got guys in their late 30s, early 40s that are still doing it at a high level. Like, it's just such an interesting dichotomy. And it was something I really kind of enjoyed doing, being able to chat with so many different people and kind of get their, take their temperature about, why do you still, why do you still do this? Yeah. And how, what does it mean to you? It's a lot of time in the summer. It's, you're taking up pretty much every one of your weekends, and, especially once you get to like June, July, that's prime time where you could be off doing other things.
And I know, some of them that are older, they're probably got kiddos and they're coaching,
right? Yeah.
or they're playing little league too. So
exactly.
I mean, it's a lot of baseball in the summer.
It's baseball is still at a high level. I mean, a great example, Jacob LeQuay, who is a younger guy. He's graduated from Chahai a couple of years ago. Who's now on the Express for the second half of the year this year. He he played in the CRBL in the first half of the regular season, and he was an all-star. And there's other guys that have been able to do that too, that played in the CRBL and now are playing with the Express, or over the years they did stuff like that. And then once you get to the end of the year and you see the success the CRBL has in the Wisconsin Baseball Association state tournament. Last year Whitehall won the Class B, Osseo was the runner-up in Class A. A couple of years ago, Tilden won the state championship. I know the Cavs have won the state championship recently. Other teams have done very well. There's just it's unique. I would say, to the CRBL. You just don't see a lot of organizations with that history, and I would say with that continual passion, success to keep it going.
Right. Yeah, it's a great piece. So go check it out at chippewa.com. And with you mentioned playoffs.
We're a couple weeks away. Yeah, we're still a couple weeks away. Yeah, that's at the end of that last week of July. I think this championship game is August 1st. That's Saturday.
Okay.
So we're still a couple weeks away. Yeah, but I mean, those really nothing has been decided yet. It's still up in the air. I mean, you got Connaught and Tilden at the top of the north. You've got Osseo and the Cavaliers and some other teams in the south. Like that, pretty much everything is still up for grabs. Which that hasn't always been the case, and that's in talking with some of the players too. Like the league is arguably as competitive as it's been in a while, where you just have. I mean, you've got teams knocking off teams that maybe they haven't beat them in a while. Like you've just got. It's very competitive top to bottom. There's no gimmies. And I think that makes for a better league. You don't have that one or two dominant team and then everyone else kind of chasing them.
Right.
I mean, there's a couple weeks left in the regular season and things could change significantly.
Right. Staying with baseball, the Express, they're going to be on the road for tomorrow. They have the off day today. So they'll be on the road tomorrow against Rochester. Then they'll be back at Carson Park on Sunday, taking on Rochester. Then they hit up Waterloo for 4 straight games, and then it's quite the road trip coming up here for the Express.
They're away for a bit.
Yeah, so I mean 4 games at Waterloo starting on Monday. Then they're in Wausau Friday and Saturday, next Friday and Saturday. Then at Thunder Bay Sunday and Monday. So you go from Wausau to Thunder Bay. Then you finally return home to Carson Park on the 28th. So if you want to get to an Express game, you better go tomorrow. Sunday, excuse me. Yes,
right.
Sunday.
Otherwise, you're going to have to wait a little bit.
Yep, exactly. And that's going to be that's towards the end of the regular season here then.
I'll say I think that's going to be a really key trip for them. Just, obviously that's a lot of, that's a lot. That's a lot of grinding. That's a lot of traveling. I mean, going from Waterloo to Wausau to Thunder Bay, I mean, if you can kind of grind, it's almost a bit like the Brewers going into the All-Star break where, you have that big trip. Like, if you can kind of grind through that and come through on the other side with some wins, things could potentially set up well for them down the stretch.
And going up against Rochester this weekend is a big 2-game series because Rochester and Eau Claire. Rochester is holding on to the first place, but the Express right there. Rochester has the advantage in terms of win percentage. They're 9-3. Eau Claire is 10-4, so it's just win percentage. But then Waterloo, we mentioned that 4-game series. Waterloo is only a half game behind. So big time games coming up here for the Express.
By the way, I think I said this at the start of the year, but it's really good to see the Express playing like Wausau and some more Wisconsin teams again. I know obviously schedule wise and with the way the divisions and stuff line up, but now being able to do that, it just fits.
Yep, I totally agree. And I know the Eau Claire Axemen wrapping up their last 2 weeks here. They're going to be on the road tomorrow, taking on the Iowa Woo. Then they'll be back home to wrap up their season against the St. Joe Goats. So, and then we're on to high school football.
We are. I mean, next week, I believe, is the last week teams can, have their their off-season contact days because different teams are doing them different. I know Chahai next week is doing all of theirs next week. Just It's almost
I
like
think Altoona is because
and yeah, then there's some obviously
Yeah.
talking with Dr. Crow. Regis kind of did theirs a little bit earlier, and there's no right or wrong way to do it, just how everyone now does it. But yeah, then you kind of have that quote unquote dead week right before that last week of July, where there's no contact, that kind of thing, and then that first Tuesday of, I believe that'd be the 4th, if I remember that's when the first day of football starts. I mean, it's handing out pads, and it's.
Yeah, and I say Altoona just in case I might be wrong, because we were playing scrimmage against 9U, and one of the umpires was a high schooler, and he said he mentioned football practice starts next week. So I think, and we were in Altoona, so
Gotcha.
that's why.
So
just wanted to make sure.
But but
in case anybody yells at me,
but
blame that kid, wherever he's from.
Find that kid, but so that's what's on. That's what's kind of coming up here.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a quick break, and we'll jump into some AJM Automotive Pump the Brakes Full Throttle. Shall we do it? All right. We'll be right back after these quick words. Before we get to a little AJM Automotive Pump the Brakes Full Throttle, how weird was it to see Giannis holding up that Heat jersey yesterday? I was watching it, and I'm like, this is weird.
A little bit, but, I mean, it was interesting because for a while there was obviously the conversation about the number.
It's 3. Is it 3 + 4? Essentially,
that's kind of what I took out of it.
Yeah,
and I think we kind of alluded to the fact that I do kind of like the fact that he went with a different number in Miami. Like obviously, 34 is something that's special to him in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
Yeah. It's unique, I think, too, for a lot of the greats because they always hold on to that number. Right.
But no, that's.
I would assume it was 3 + 4 or 7.
That would be my guess.
But could be completely wrong, and I might have missed it somewhere else. So, but I still thought it was weird watching it and holding that jersey up. So, no LeBron decision yet, even though in the live pod he's enjoying this. Pump the brakes, full throttle. Is LeBron enjoying all this talk about where is he going?
Yes, he does. He is enjoying the attention.
Yep, full throttle, 100% full gear.
It's a bit Brett Favre like.
Yeah. Kind of is.
Except he's not asking himself questions and answering them. Do I enjoy the attention? Yes.
Am I doing it on purpose? Yes. Will I continue doing this? Probably.
Do I want my own news cycle? Yes.
Just get it done with. I mean, but yeah, I don't want to talk more about it because it's going to be talked about all over the place. So
the Heat may end up with Giannis and LeBron, but the Bucks have got Braden Burries and Nick Ament.
Yeah.
It's the
oh man.
They may but we have Jaden McDaniels line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pump the brakes, full throttle. Let's start off with the baseball world. Pump the brakes, full throttle. The AL Central is going to be the most fun division race to watch in the second half.
I'll go full throttle because there's the most options, and there's just many ways to go. I mean, anyone but the Royals could win it.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about maybe the East, depending on how but that might be more of a
AL or NL East.
AL, sorry.
Okay.
I don't want to be bad either, but no, I would. Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, that's gonna be the race. I'd say that's gonna be the race for the 3 seed, but in the AL maybe not because of the West.
Yeah.
I'll go full throttle with it.
I'm gonna go full throttle. I'm still not ready to shut the door on the Tigers. The Twins have been a surprise. White Sox, Pat Murphy deserves a ton of credit after that opening.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, he said that they were that was a good team, and we kind of laughed.
Yeah, and nope. Pat Murphy's the only one laughing right now, probably.
And they have 3 All-Stars? 3 or 4, something like
how
that.
do they hit more than the Brewers, though, too? That's the frustrating part in this whole thing. So, pump the brakes, full throttle. You enjoyed the home run derby. Did you like that they got rid of the clock?
I did.
Yeah.
I'm going to say full throttle for it. Yeah. It was
the competition itself. I did the pregame Will Ferrell stuff.
There was some extra stuff like
Barry Bonds. Don't sit there and say it's the best home run derby of all time.
It definitely gave me shades of every year when someone proclaims the dunk contest is
Kenny
back.
the Jet Smith. That's who I was thinking of. I was getting shades of Kenny Smith with that. Yep.
The dunk contest is back. You say that every year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the actual action itself, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other stuff wasn't necessary, but that'll happen.
And it's going to continue to happen because you're trying to draw in different audiences and entertainment. So, pump the brakes, full throttle. Did you enjoy the actual All-Star game, or was it boring, like some people are saying?
It kind of was, but like, there's only so much you can do with that actual part. Sometimes the game is just that way. Like,
I'd rather have that than the NBA All-Star game.
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah, because it was still a competitive game.
Yep.
But like, there just wasn't a lot of action in this particular game. But like, I realized that there's really nothing you could do about it. But I got a good laugh out of kind of, I guess in some ways, Christopher Sanchez kind of being the one that got shelled.
Yeah, 3 runs. Yeah.
But then, and obviously, going back to last year, the All-Star game, and look, Bizarowski last year probably should have been an All-Star, but with the amount of people that were turning him down, it was kind of a out of necessity thing. And then the amount of Phillies fans that were kind of blowing up, it's like, well, it should be it should be based on merit. It's like, okay, well, really based off merit, if Jacob Mezrowski's pitching that game, he should have been starting over Sanchez because he's been better.
Right.
And then he's the guy. It's like, well, but it's in his hometown. It's like, but that's not on merit.
Right.
Like, and then he goes out there and got shelled.
Yep. Yeah. I did find that
So.
ironic. Isn't it ironic?
What you think?
Oh, man. Let's do pump the brakes, full throttle. The Brewers, this won't be the only trade they make before
Full
the
throttle.
deadline.
Yeah, full throttle. There'll be more.
You think
I mean,
so? You're pretty confident in that?
I'm pretty confident that there will be. Now, what and who is the interesting question, but I think there will be.
Pump the brakes, full throttle. McCullers finishes the season with the Brewers and not like DFA'd or released.
I'm gonna say pump the brakes on that. I don't think ultimately.
So it's not like a Dallas Keuchel or
no. I think I think it is.
Okay.
Where it just he'll get a handful
Gio
of
Gonzalez
opportunity.
type.
Yeah. Well, Gio finished the year, but
well, that's what I'm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I don't think he will.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it won't.
Oh,
be
you don't think he'll finish?
I don't think he will.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got that mixed up.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah. No, I don't think he will. I think he'll make 5 or 6 starts, and I don't see it working out.
Mm-hmm.
But for the cost.
So you think released?
I think at some point, yeah.
Okay.
And then I think he might just be done.
Pump the brakes, full throttle. If Christian Yelich doesn't come out hot, it'll be that infamous injured list assignment.
Full throttle, I think it might be.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. They'll say like a back issue or it'll be something.
Yeah, they'll just give him a breather.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then
I would say pump the brakes, full throttle. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I mean, look, ultimately the best case scenario is he's playing and playing well, but like just to give him at some point a 2-week break.
Mm-hmm.
Say like
because you got options.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the end of, and you could almost treat that as almost like a floating day off for guys.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be a way to continue to get both Bowers and Andrew Vaughn in the lineup
mm-hmm.
while having your premium outfield, defensively.
Maybe even Cheerio at DH, and you can have all the three like
That's
Alara,
true,
Frelick, and Mitchell.
That's true.
Potentially out there too.
Yeah.
So,
but we'll see. I mean, again, obviously the best case scenario is Yelich, picks it back up and plays a little bit closer the way we know he can.
Right. Yeah. I know people are talking about Cheerio too. I mean, pump the brakes, full throttle. I have more confidence in Cheerio picking it back up
Oh, sure.
than
Full throttle.
Christian Yelich. And,
Full throttle.
It's just such a Yelich's career is such a what if ever since that kneecap. Well, even before, I mean, he wasn't a power. You've talked about this.
Yeah, he wasn't a power hitter in Miami.
Right.
He was a 15 home run guy,
mm-hmm.
and he was still a great hitter, but he was more of a hitter than a slugger.
Right.
And then, made some tweaks when he got to Milwaukee, and suddenly he's very easily could have been a 2-time MVP.
Yeah, and it's just like since then it's been so weird.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I'm sure it's frustrating for him more than anybody else. But to see, you see those 2 years, and you're like, my gosh, this guy was, arguably the best baseball player in the world for those, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then unfortunately, things happen.
Right. Pump the brakes, full throttle. I'm trying to. Do I want to do more baseball? Pump the brakes, full throttle. I think I'm out of baseball ones unless you had one. No, I don't think I had any more baseball ones. Okay. All right. So, let's move over to pump the brakes, full throttle. Okay, I'm going to bring in a LeBron one just one more time. Pump the brakes, full throttle. Will we know by next Friday?
I'll say full throttle.
Okay.
I'll say we do. I say after the weekend.
Oh, she's found. Okay. Missing person was found 10 years later. Think about that. That's that's so weird for me to. Oh, okay. Anyways, yeah. At some point, yeah, I think it's going to be next week. And then we can finally get this thing over with and move on with the rest of our lives. So, pump the brakes, full throttle. Let's go with. Okay, since he is there, Giannis will win a championship with the Heat.
I'm gonna pump the brakes.
Okay.
I'm still a little curious about what they're going to surround him with.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to pump the brakes too. Part of it is his age. Part of it is what else is on that roster.
Mhm.
If they had a really good guard, let's say they had Jaylen Brown or something, then I could see it. I don't. Who's the other creator? Bam is okay. Yeah, I get it. Bam scored 80-some points last year, but I mean, I think they need an outside guy yet. And I don't know if they got that guy,
Right.
or if he was with the Cavs and he had Donovan Mitchell with him, something like that. I'm going to pump the brakes, and I would like to see Giannis. I want to see Giannis win another championship because I feel it's almost to the NFL quarterback thing where you need 2 championships, right? It's turned so much into sports where you need multiple championships and not just one.
Right.
And I think, again, it's because so you can use the word multiple with it. Not 2-time, it's multiple winners.
That extra S carries a lot of weight.
It does. Yeah, exactly. So I don't see it. I don't see it happening for him. So that's your Pump the Brakes Full Throttle, again brought to you by AJM Automotive. We got to take a quick break, but we'll be back with plenty more coming up after these few words. As we get set to kick off this second part of the Brewers season, 66 games left to go, I believe here. So, what do you think, Brandon, Mr. Berg, is the biggest question, concern, unknown that you would have regarding this team heading into the? Obviously, health, I think, would be a big one for everybody. Is it a certain player? What's maybe the biggest question that you have going forward?
Can this team hit for more power? To me, that's a big thing because they've been able to score runs and stuff, but I still think you need to hit for a little bit more power than they have been.
Okay.
And if that does not come from an outside addition, at least a significant one, is it just improvement from guy like William Contreras? We know he can hit for more power than he has been.
Mm-hmm. Yelich, we know we can.
Is it like a cumulative effort where suddenly you've got a bunch of people that are just doing a little bit more? Like, as good of a year as Andrew Vaughn is hitting for, like he has extra base power, but I think he's only got like 2 home runs.
Yeah.
So, like, is this a team that can hit for more power largely from improvements from within? Because, as much as that, we'd love to see them maybe make a big addition, especially, a bat, maybe a third baseman. It's like, but who is it?
Mm-hmm.
And based on what we know about the Brewers, like, how likely is that?
Right.
It might be likely that they just have to do it more themselves with what they currently got.
How confident are you that Bowers can continue to provide that? It's a big unknown, right? Because we haven't really seen this.
But it's been the sample sizes now, it's getting to the point where you can't really ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
He's been one of the best hitters.
It's almost given me, I don't know if it's to this level, like Jesus Aguilar 18 vibes.
Yeah.
And Jesus really fell off in that second half. I don't know if it was a home run derby that year.
That's right. I forgot about that because he was an all-star.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good example because, both of them were guys that it kind of clicked for them a little bit later on.
Mm-hmm.
And they had bounced around a little bit. Jake Bowers, he's played, he floated around, I'd say, longer than Aguilar did before he figured it out. But, and that's going to be the thing because he's someone now that, he is, I think he leads the team in home runs, right?
Yeah.
So, right now he is one of their premier power threats.
Yeah. And curious to see if he can continue to do that. If he can, that would be a big question or a big part of that question that would be answered. But because it's coming out of nowhere essentially, and hopefully he doesn't have like a Jesus Aguilar type of quietness to that stretch of that 8. I think that kind of gets forgotten because 18 was Yelich's MVP year, but yet Jesus Aguilar hit over 30 home runs that year too. So it was, you factor that in.
That team did have a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
Not just with those guys, Travis Shaw, Mike Moustakas.
Bronny was still there, not as much, but
right, yeah, but no, that team had power.
Mm-hmm. Was that Moustakas came in towards the end?
He was. Yeah, it was a trade addition. So that's when they went with.
Was that when they brought in Scope too?
Yeah,
Jonathan Scope.
He had the grand slam against the Giants, but that was kind of about it.
Against Madison Bumgarner, right?
Yeah, but that was a move that was understandable at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't work.
Right. When was the Ray Durham one?
Oh, that was. I think that was 08.
Was that 08?
Yeah, I think that was 08.
Okay, I couldn't.
Yeah,
that had to be a while longer ago. So. You're just checking out the updates.
No, but the funny thing as we got Unsolved Mysteries on behind us, but like this guy was on the run. He was using an assumed identity. I just laughed because his assumed identity is Frank Reynolds, which is Danny DeVito's character's name, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that's what I was laughing at. Like he was Danny DeVito.
Oh man. The other thing though too, because we're obviously going to be talking a lot about the trade deadline coming up here in a couple weeks. It's just we don't know is really who's available from a hitting standpoint, which makes this conversation a lot more difficult.
Well, that's why I said you're probably going to have to look inward to find that power boost because likely. Or could it be some of the minors? If he keeps hitting, when we get to August, does someone like Luke Adams get a shot at third base?
Right.
Who's hit for some power in the minors, and he's more of a slugger. So, is that the move?
Right. Yeah.
Don't know.
I think Fisher's a little too early in.
Like I could see Fisher getting to AAA by the end, but like to go from high A to the majors in 1 year is a tough ask. Even if so far along the way, every step he's been slugging, but
yeah,
realistically, and that's the thing with like so many of these prospects, like it's crazy to think how much different this team could even look a year from now.
Right. Yeah.
Because Made, Fisher, Blake Burke, Luke Adams, like there's so many of these guys who I would say are a year away. I mean, as long as they continue to do what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, think about that too. Kind of. I mean, they're set up for a long time, aren't they? I mean, I know earlier in the week I did like a State of the Union for the Brewers, and I mean, you feel good about them. I mean, I know there's questions and such, but I mean, for the foreseeable future, you feel really good about the state of this franchise.
Right.
I mean, with Matt Arnold and Pat as long as those two guys, I think, are part of it.
Right.
You feel good about it, but I get it. It's about the now and and that.
And the tough thing though is we just don't know what baseball is going to look like next year, if there is baseball.
There seems to be. Did I hear this right? That some people are optimistic, like it's gonna, like some of the reports out there, and I don't know if that's just. We're at the stage. It's like giving me vibes of the NFL 1 from 2010, where you feel good, but then you feel bad, then you feel good.
Yeah.
It's going to be a wave of all over the place, and I until it actually becomes final and happens, I ain't gonna believe either side.
No.
And you're right. I don't know. And then you got the whole Olympics thing now that's getting thrown into this debate.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see the pro players. I do think they have to figure out how to do it with
how do you
pitching.
do it? Yeah, that's the question. How you do it?
And I think, players want to do it. And I think there's going to be some players that are going to almost demand it because I feel like there is. It would mean more. We saw it from the World Baseball Classic. It would mean more for certain players, maybe from certain countries. Like Venezuela was.
Oh, yeah, it was a big deal.
Right. And I think you're going to have those players like, no, I am playing.
Yeah, I want to, obviously the WBC is cool, but it's like, it's the Olympics. Like, you have a chance, like, if you're someone's like, I could go win an Olympic gold medal doing this. Like, I want to do that.
And I know some people throughout, this could be the end of the World Baseball Classic. but baseball in the Olympics has just been hit or miss. So I don't know if I'd go that route yet for World Baseball Classic.
Right.
Because, I mean, we've gone through long stretches of where we haven't had baseball in the Olympics. So I don't know if I'd go that route yet. And, I mean, I think it could work. I mean, you look at soccer, World Cup, and then, obviously Olympics too.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's a little bit different because, I mean, baseball, then you got Major League Baseball and different seasons since that. So, but I'd like to see the pros in the Olympics. And the thing is, too, it's only going to be 6 teams. So it's not going to be a really drawn out season, if you will, when it's baseball. But I will be curious to see, would they legitimately shut down baseball for a couple weeks to have these games like they do in hockey?
Yeah, because you kind of have to.
And where's that missed revenue going to come from? That's what owners are probably going to want to figure out, which I know owners said they're fine.
So then, because then what do? Do you move the start up of the season a little bit?
Mm-hmm. And it's already end of March.
Right.
So, I mean, and you don't want to go further in.
You can't really go back. Yeah, you can't really go back much. So,
well, my question would be, do you just get rid of the All-Star week then?
Maybe.
Which I get it would kind of be poo-poo, but still.
Yeah.
By the way, All-Star Game's going to be at Wrigley next year. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was announced. I saw that on Facebook.
I think that already kind of been rumored.
Was it already?
I think it was out there a little bit. So,
is it ever going to be at AmFam Field again?
It's going to take a bit.
Would they have to do like major renovations almost to make it look newish?
Probably for something like that.
I was surprised to hear Citizens. This was the first one.
That is surprising because usually, I mean, that's been around for a bit. Usually, it seems like when stadiums are pretty young in their life, they get it. And I'm sure that was
that's why Miller Park got one,
2002,
right?
yeah. So, I got my driver's license.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. Yeah, we went through that last week.
Yep.
So, All right, we got to take our final break for this hour, but we'll be back to wrap up the third hour coming up after these quick words. Starting to wrap up the third hour. We still got an hour to go after the third quarter is done. So you got World Cup. Brandon was bragging during the break that he can pick World Cup games better than anybody.
No, I was saying I can pick World Cup games better than I can pick the NCAA tournament bracket,
Yep.
which maybe there's a lesson for me to be learned in there, because for the World Cup, I didn't put any thought into it. I just went boom, 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 and I did pick the Spain-Argentina final. So,
yeah. But we'll make that pick coming up when we get to picks here.
Yep.
In about an hour from now. So, But it's chalk, right? I mean, you got the 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's what you did. You picked chalk.
I mean, I didn't even know I picked chalk. Although according to ESPN, though, most people had picked France to win.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
I didn't notice that. So.
Yes.
Okay.
And America was up there as well.
All right.
So,
Brandon, I want to throw this out there because you're a fantasy footballer.
I am.
I'm thinking about, I know we've dabbled in this before in the past, but I'm thinking about doing a massive sports talk fantasy football league.
Okay.
When I say massive, it'd have to be multiple leagues because I don't want to have one league of 32 teams.
Oh, no, yeah.
You don't want that. And I don't know how many people would do it. What would be the site to do it?
Ooh, good question.
What's your favorite? Because you're more experienced. I've retired from fantasy football, so.
Currently, I'm across 3 different apps, sites, whatever. There's one I'm in that goes through Yahoo, in part because we've done it from Yahoo since like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And we enjoy having the history all in one place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice. ESPN is another one we do, and that's, it's fine. And then Sleeper, which is, I believe, the last time we did it, we used that, which the interface is interesting. And I guess I don't really have a sharp opinion one way or the other.
Okay. Those are the 3 that I'm trying to figure out too.
Right.
So it's tough. I think the last one I did was Sleeper.
Yeah, it was. Because I won that league.
You did. That's right. And I think I gave up halfway through. So that's why I was like, you know what? It's time to call it my fantasy football career, unless I can get convinced otherwise.
Yes.
But I'd kind of wanted to do something fun and give away some prizes and stuff for this upcoming football season. So I'm trying to figure out what would be the one to do, like Yahoo, ESPN, or do Sleeper. It seems like Yahoo was the most popular pick when I kind of threw it out a couple weeks ago last week.
Okay.
From some of the listeners on the texting line.
Okay. Yeah. Well, whatever the people want.
Like, is it easy to use on the phone, like the app? Like, is it fairly okay? Because I have not used Yahoo Fantasy probably since early 2000s.
Yeah. No, I mean they're all pretty straightforward.
Yeah. When it was like the first one, and I had NBA and football and golf and baseball.
Wait, oh my gosh, yeah.
NASCAR. I did a NASCAR one at Yahoo. So.
Oh yeah.
Yahoo had to be the first, weren't they?
I think so. At the very least, they were the big one first, because I was the same way.
Mm-hmm. Like everything, I didn't care. I signed up for multiple ones because I wanted to be a GM when I was a kid.
Yep.
So that was, you either did it on Madden or baseball or basketball video games, and then fantasy football comes along. So it was. I think that part of it. I wonder if they ever thought about. That's another book that they should write. I talked about last week they should do sports cards, the history of fantasy sports and how that thing got going.
How that evolved, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if it sparked from everybody just doing GM mode on Madden.
Well, the interesting thing, and I heard someone bring this up at one point, and I thought it made perfect sense, was at some point, I think kids, and honestly, it's people probably our age, when we were younger, there was a time where everyone wanted to be the quarterback.
Yeah.
And then everyone wanted to be the coach of the GM.
Yeah.
And honestly, Madden probably had a influence on that.
Yeah. I could see that.
Because it went from changing like, oh, I want to create myself in this video game and then I can be the quarterback too. Well, what if I'm just the guy that made all the decisions?
Yeah. I never thought of it kind of like that.
I didn't either until I forget who it was. But I remember seeing that. I'm like, that's brilliant. That makes perfect sense.
That makes perfect sense because we all created ourselves a video game and we made ourselves 99.
When you're younger, you're obviously you're running around pretending you're somebody else, but like you were thinking of it through the lens of being the player.
Right. Huh. That's why I always say Madden had one of the biggest influences in my childhood for sport. I'm not the biggest video gamer. Honestly, I don't know the last time I played Madden. And whenever I did as a kid, it was for a hot minute. Then I kind of, like whatever. But I'd rather just build the teams.
Yeah.
That's all I cared about. Then I would sim the seasons. And then, but even just like getting introduced to 4-3 defenses, what's nickel, pro sets.
Well, I think for a while, Brett Favre didn't know what nickel was.
That's right. Right. Sports cards and Madden were probably like two of the biggest influences as a young sports fan because I mean, cards, that's how I got to know the players, like their history. Like for whatever reason, I would memorize stupid stuff, height and weight, colleges, draft picks, where they were slotted. I remember as a kid thinking Terry Porter played at Stevens Point. It's like, and it was the first, like, no, what? And I saw Stevens Point was a Division I school or something, because it's random stuff like that. And now, I mean, these kids can go on the internet and look that up.
And I'm glad that sports cards have made the comeback, but that's obviously a little bit different where, it's just the information you have at your fingertips.
Well, and you look at the sports cards now compared to what they were back. Like, I mean, I got a case right there when I was kids, all those cards. Look at the back of all the information that you can get from compared to, like, now. It's nothing. Like, that was almost an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
When you look at some of those old cards.
Yeah, like if now for like baseball, if I need to know something, I can just I'll go on Fangraphs or we can go on Baseball Reference and just, Lance McCullers. Okay, these numbers. But before it's like, well.
You looked at all the numbers
and obviously there's a lot more numbers for things now.
Right. And I remember basketball cards back in the day too. There were certain ones that was like Dr. Jack Ramsey had like little fun nuggets and statistics, and you learned about some of those.
Like
players.
Grant Hill drinks Sprite.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. So, but no, I do wish cards. I get it; it's more about style, but I kind of wish cards would. Some still have numbers, but like the whole biography of it, so kids can experience that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I honestly probably started to get into remembering random stupid stuff about sport. For the longest time, because of cards, I knew I couldn't do it anymore. Every NBA Rookie of the Year from 89 to 2000. Just based off sports cards. In order I could put it. I can't do it now. Don't even ask me because I don't want to be embarrassed. I can name a few of them, but I couldn't do it chronologically anymore. But it was just Shaq was 7'1" and 301. Some cards were 303.
Depending if you had a big breakfast.
Right, yeah. Penny was 6'7". Jordan was 6'6". I think Scotty was 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah.
Horace was... Yeah, you got some six... Like Alonzo Mourning was 6'10", 6'11".
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, got all that from card info. So, but... all the good old days. Those good old days. But all right, we're gonna be cut off here in about a minute and a half. So, or we can bring back pogs like the Tombstone pizza pogs I have. Do you remember getting those in the frozen pizzas?
I do.
The little packs. I bought that off eBay a couple years ago. But the old pogs. That's one thing that has not made a comeback.
No.
I had a pog maker.
Yeah.
But I'll fully admit, I didn't know what the heck they were. Like, there was a game to it.
Yeah, because you had didn't you have like the slammers?
Yeah.
Which were the big ones. And then it was something about like, did you hit it? And then
something.
And then like if it depended on if it was like heads or tail, like up or down, like.
No idea.
Yeah, I thought that was I don't remember much beyond that, but.
No idea. But I had it was called a pog maker, and now I'm an idiot, but I would make pogs out of like old Sports Illustrated TV guides of all those athletes, and now they're probably worth money if I wouldn't have done that. I have no idea where those pogs are, but yeah, the 90s NFL era, the best era in the NFL, right? Yep. So I got a full stack of Tombstone baseball cards too somewhere.
Really?
You don't remember those? Ken Griffey, Robin Yount's in there.
I mean, it's crazy just how involved Tombstone was with all that stuff.
Well, and then they had the old NFL quarterback ones because they were star and bring that back. I think we have a listener that I think is it Paul that has it, but he's got all the Tombstone posters of that too. So he sent that to me a while ago. But all right, Shot Clock's gonna cut us off. So we'll be back after these news updates to kick off the final hour. I'm gonna attempt to hook up the old Nintendo and see if this Tecmo Bowl game works.
You gonna stream that for the last hour? You and me playing Tecmo Bowl?
I'll be the 49ers. Dibs.
No Bo Jackson.
We'll be right back. All right, final hour kicking off right now on this Friday morning. Thanks for hanging out with us and making us a part of your starts. Whether you are listening to us on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, available to stream up online at sportstalk1051.com. Got the app, you can download that, take it on to go, your smart devices, and of course, the video stream up and rolling here as well. We got, almost just broke everything. Pulled the cord a little too tight there. We got baseball back in action, although it started last night with just one game, Phillies and Mets. But everybody back in action tonight, and that includes the Brewers, as they will be taking on the Marlins. Brewers going with Logan Henderson and then Shane Drone and Robert Gasser. I think, when I look at these guys, maybe more so Logan Henderson and Shane Drone, is it fair to say, Brandon, a lot is riding on those guys and their shoulders and their arms to carry the Brewers through the rest of this season into the we need some continued good play, solid play from these guys.
So. I think the thing with Logan Henderson is when he's out there, he's been good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of him being healthy,
right,
and being able to just be in a position where he can just consistently make a start once a week,
right.
That's it's weird to say, but the pitching almost hasn't been the issue with him.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he's out there, he's pitching very well. It's just if he can continue to consistently do it, that's almost the easy part. Shane Drone, for my money, I think if we were to pick maybe the most underrated Brewer of this year, it'd be Shane Drone.
Yeah.
How quickly he started the year in the minors, then got called. Then I think got called up briefly in the Red Sox series as a reliever. It didn't go well. He wasn't really looked at as being a starter, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
And then the need arose, and then he took that job, and he hasn't looked back, and he's just consistently been good.
Mm-hmm.
And he really has been kind of a steadying presence.
Do you think when it comes to the pitching staff, they should go with a 6-man rotation?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Now, the downside with that is that's one fewer arm out of the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
And, we'll see about, sometimes how it lines up with off days and stuff. Then maybe there's a time you can skip somebody if you're doing a 6-man, and that person can maybe pitch out of the bullpen if they need to for a few days, kind of a thing. But I like that idea as long as, one, it's working. I mean, but
right.
but and as long as they're able to kind of maintain a lead in the division, I get it. There may become points where you need to lean on a couple guys a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think part of the reason guys have been successful is because they've had a little extra recovery time.
Mm-hmm. And it's not because of rules, they can only carry a maximum amount of pitchers.
Correct,
so you can't just put a different arm in there and not have another backup position player.
Yeah, and I think right now they're kind of at the limit because I think they got a 4-man bench right now as far as position player goes.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't go any fewer than that.
Right. I do wonder, I think one of the bigger other question marks I would have too for this second half of this Brewers season is, okay, if Mizorowski's already dealing with arm fatigue, how do you kind of make sure that doesn't pop up in September and October? And is that the 6-man rotation? Does that factor into it? Because I think pump the brakes full throttle, Mizorowski goes down this season's in the tank.
Full throttle.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to the postseason, your best bet to beat some of the top teams is you have to have starting pitching.
Mm-hmm.
I get that they kind of worked it last year a little bit, and look, Harrison's been good, but there's been some hiccups here recently, and then suddenly if you have to lean on, Drowan and Henderson and Gasser, then that's
mm-hmm.
kind of walking down a road that I'm not sure is a winning one in the postseason anyway.
Right. Yeah, I just knock on wood, nothing like that happens. Right. But even Kyle Harrison, hopefully it's nothing too serious. They don't seem, but again, how many times have they come off that way and it's still pitchers? You still get incredibly nervous when it comes to pitchers' health. And okay, so this is going to be kind of a really wild thought and question, but I mean, look what the Dodgers did last year when they got to the postseason. It was hey, they added all these guys. Well, it's guys coming back from injury. They were healthy with the pitching side.
Yes.
Is that something? I don't know how you can game plan that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. We're like, I mean, those guys are still fresh.
Right.
I mean, Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, like they had some injuries, but it's like they didn't have a full season's worth of innings on their arm, and that's another reason I like the 6-man rotation is if you're getting to the playoffs and you've got 140 innings on your arm or whatever it is versus 180. I think you're probably still feeling a little fresher.
Right, and that's where I'm like, how do you do it? But at the same time, you still got to win these games in the regular
season. Right, it's
so
tough.
You don't want to be cute.
And especially now, like with the Dodgers, they can afford to do that a little bit more because they got a lead.
Right.
Like, yeah, they would love to be the 1 seed versus the 2 seed, but they have. I mean, they know it's almost one of those things where like their division being a lot easier. And that's nothing that's really they impact. It's just how the rest of the division is. Like, if the Brewers had a 10-game lead, then would it be the worst thing in the world to sit down Mizrowski for a couple weeks? No, probably not.
No,
but you can't do it.
No.
It's a luxury that they cannot afford.
Right, especially with Ohtani right now.
Yeah,
if he's dealing with that knee issue,
I
mean they don't have to rush him back.
Right.
And yes, it helps that they have other options that are pretty darn good from a pitching side of things or hitting side of things. But they don't have to necessarily rush him back.
Right.
So. I was trying to think, but you can't get cute with this thing, but that is part of the manager too. When you sit down guys at certain times, it's like those Sunday games sometimes where it's like, oh, that's the lineup you're putting.
The Christopher
out there?
Sanchez lineup where the Blake Perkins game. I mean, Blake Perkins, maybe he should have been an all-star.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. Like, that's the thing about baseball. You just never know. You remember a couple weeks ago we were going into the Brewers Cup series, and the Brewers, they had their guys, and the Cubs were kind of scrapping, and it's like, you and I both picked the Brewers to win that series, but it's like the great thing about baseball is you never know, and obviously, unfortunately for the Brewers, it didn't work out well. They lost 2 or 3, but it's like you just don't know. Like that's why going into this series, like the Marlins definitely have the pitching advantage on the starters, but you never know.
I feel like baseball more than maybe any other sport has a great way to humble you and unpredictability with it. Yes, every sport has it. Otherwise, we would, we'd be able to predict everything. But for the most part, most of the times when we get to an NFL game, if it's, I'm going to throw out an example. If it's Cardinals versus Rams, we're probably going to pick Rams. I'm just trying to, we have that. Whereas in baseball, okay, it looks like that, but still.
You never know.
There's still a decent chance, with that lineup like we see. I feel like baseball more than any other sport has
random, and there's randomness, and also like there's 162 games.
Right.
Like realistically, and the old saying goes, every team wins 60 games, every team loses 60 games. What happens in those other 42 games?
Never thought of it that way.
I mean, unless you're either really good, where you win more than 100, or you're really bad, where you lose more than 100. For the most part, everybody does that. It's what happens otherwise.
I never thought of it that way. That's an interesting way to look at that. Yeah. Wow. Look at you with your poetic phrases. What was that?
That's me being fancy.
Is that like
to
French?
Be or not to be?
Ooh. Were you ever in a high school play?
No.
Were you ever in a middle school play?
No.
Wow. I was never in a high school one, but I was in a middle school one. Played the lead in a Edgar Allan Poe play. It was like what's the one with the heart?
Telltale Heart?
Yeah, because I took a white T-shirt and put ketchup all over it to be blood. That was not a great idea to carry in your backpack all day. Just as a tip. That was my own doings. Like I wasn't forced to do that. I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this. Not a great idea when the play's at the end of the day and you got to carry that in your backpack all day. The smell wasn't the greatest, but I was dedicated to the part, man. So, yeah.
You're a thespian.
All right. So I'll tell you what, we got to take a quick break, but we'll be back with plenty more in the final 45 minutes-ish of this Friday episode. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. some teams will be starting training camp next week. It is that time of year. I believe it's
today that Seahawks rookies are reporting today.
Yeah, I think is it because it's Cardinals and Panthers for the Hall of Fame game, I believe. Because Fitzgerald and Kuechly, I think. And I think they start their training camps, which makes sense because, I mean, they're going to be playing a preseason game coming up here in just, day after, or no, day before Kasper Classic, I think. Isn't it?
That's right. It's been moved around a little bit. I'm checking right now.
Because I think it's Thursday night now they play that
oops.
game. Or maybe it is, I don't know. But
Hall of Fame game. Yep, it's the night before.
All right. How about that?
Cardinals, Panthers, 7 o'clock.
All right. So, for your team, your Minnesota team, it's been kind of a quiet offseason besides Kyler Murray and that. But what is something that you're going to be really kind of, we've been doing a Packers countdown for this of top storylines, top things to follow and that. But what would be from a Packers or, a Vikings sense that you're going to be kind of watching when we get to training camp?
I mean, obviously the quarterback thing is number one. Like that's, how does that develop? Otherwise, I am curious to see, I guess, how the younger faces stack on the defense. The trade of Jonathan Grenard, obviously it's a big one, gives an opportunity to Dallas Turner to kind of step in and be that second, primary pass rusher along with Andrew Van Ginkel. Would still like to maybe see the team bring in a veteran, just as a third guy like a Leonard Floyd or someone like that can give you 400 or 500 snaps, something like that. But the defensive line suddenly is very young. Obviously spending the draft picks on Caleb Banks and Dominique Orange, those guys are gonna play. I mean, last year Jalen Redmond really emerged as as someone. You got some other younger guys like Levi Drake Rodriguez who have played and showed something in smaller bursts, but now like it goes from being just like that's kind of a cool story to like, okay, well now it's something someone you have to depend on. And last year the team invested a lot of money between Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen, and both those guys are gone now. Obviously Hargrave's in Green Bay. And so now they're kind of going a bit of the youth movement in the trenches. I'm just kind of curious to see how that works.
How much do you factor? I mean, obviously, a big topic this week has been these top 10 lists from ESPN. And yes, I get it. It's executives and coaches and that. But I mean, how much do you really take away from these?
I mean, they're fun to look at. I don't think I saw too much that, I mean, on the Vikings end of things that I was, bent out of shape about. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because look, as much as we like the league and stuff, we know that there's certain things perspective-wise we're not going to have. Like, we're not going to know, if it's not one of our teams, we may not be as likely to know, I guess I should say, who's the best interior offensive lineman in the league? I don't know. But, I mean, it's an interesting kind of point of reference, I guess.
Right.
And stuff like this, there's like, I don't think you're ever going to come up with the perfect list. So, I mean, and there's always going to be talking points. If someone's 7th, and if you could say, well, why aren't they 6th instead of 7th or something like that? Like, you could make a case for it, I'm sure. But I mean, it's fun stuff to talk about, but ultimately, it's not anything I'm necessarily putting a ton of stock in.
So, since you don't have a horse in this race or stock anything like that, would you take Jordan Love or Caleb Williams?
I kind of thought you were going to ask that. I think I would still probably in Jordan Love because I'm the type of person that I just kind of want to see it a little more. Not that I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be some sort of flash in the pan or anything. Obviously, he's got a lot of talent. He's a first overall pick. Like, he's got the pedigree there. I just think me being me, generally I would lean more towards someone I've seen it doing a little bit more. So now this might be a bit, if things go the way they did last year, again, they shared that my opinion might change, but I think I would probably still maybe lean Jordan Love there, just at least for now.
Let me ask you, I'm going to throw out a theory that I threw out a few days ago. You tell me how wrong I am, or maybe right. I don't know. So obviously, you got this whole Jordan Love, Caleb Williams talk, because Caleb Williams was listed 10. Jordan Love was not in the top 10. I feel, and I think this is something too that we kind of hashed up a little bit yesterday. Let me lead off with this. Pump the brakes full throttle. If Jordan Love, everything's equal, but if Jordan Love was on the Bears and Caleb Williams, let's say, was on the Packers, everything's the same. Every stat, number-wise, same. Is Jordan Love viewed in a more positive light because it's Chicago? And I go that route because I feel like not only is Jordan Love, he is being compared to Favre and Rodgers. The bar is set incredibly high for a quarterback playing Green Bay. Chicago, the bar is not there. And because they haven't had one. So whether that's right or wrong for Jordan Love, it sets the bar higher. He's not only chasing Rodgers, he's chasing Favre. And I think there is this thought from some that there's no way a team can find 3 quarterbacks in a row. So there's just this, insane amount of pressure. Like, no, you ain't going to do it again. And when you look at the EPAs and all these advanced, yes, he's like 1 or 2. But still, for a lot of people, you click on a tab and you look at stats, he's not top 10 in passing touchdowns. He's not top 10 in passing yards. The numbers that we've grown up to look, we were just talking about sports cards and Madden, those numbers.
The numbers on the back of the card.
Yeah. But the advanced ones, okay, top ones, but those ones don't get talked about. And let's face it, not a lot of people know what EPA.
Yeah, they don't understand it.
Right.
It's a lot easier to understand touchdowns, yards, completion percentage, whatever.
Right. So people have been running with this one, and I can't get fully on this. They're like, well, if he wins more playoff games, like if he would have won that playoff game last year against Chicago, then he'd be viewed upon higher. To my counter then is, why is Justin Herbert ranked higher? He has not won a playoff game.
No, and
And Dak Prescott's ranked higher, and last time he won was 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't buy that one as much because I'm like, what about those guys then?
Right.
So my thought is it partially because the insane amount of pressure of right now being quarterback of the Green Bay Packers because of the history in our lifetime, essentially.
Yep.
You have that, and the numbers that he is good in, and I think he is, my opinion, he's a top 10. He's probably like 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. But the numbers that he is really good in is not the numbers that the general consensus looks at. That's just kind of and I honestly feel like if he was Browns, Bears, he might be viewed upon
a little
bit differently.
I could get behind that. I don't think, and this isn't what you said, but like, I don't think he doesn't get attention just in general. Chicago obviously is, a big market. It's premier franchise, but like Green Bay, without being the big market, but Green Bay is too. Like, Green Bay plays a bunch of primetime games and stuff. They get attention. Like, it's not like he's playing in Arizona.
Right.
But you bring up an interesting point. And that's really, I don't think anything I've necessarily thought of, but yeah, what he's compared to. I mean, Chicago still has not had a 4,000-yard passer, correct?
Correct.
Because, he didn't
I don't think Caleb got it last year.
Right. So it's like, when the comparison thing, I think, is a very, very good argument for it. Where, what's Caleb Williams being compared to? And he's like, look, if Caleb Williams takes another step forward this year, then this isn't a conversation next year.
Mm-hmm.
But for right now, I would say I think you bring up some interesting points.
Yeah, Caleb had 3,900 passing yards last year. Top 10, though.
Yeah.
It was top 10.
Right, and again,
And the other part I would say for Love, let's face it, Caleb Williams, some of those games last year, the throws at the end of the game.
He made there, and just in general, the Bears had a crazy season. When you factor the ways they won, and he led some awesome comebacks or some awesome final drives or whatever.
Yep, and to spin it back to comparing it, Favre was the don't do it, yes.
Yeah.
Rodgers was a surgeon, great thrower. Does Jordan Love have one thing that just makes you go, holy crap? Probably not yet.
Right. No, I
don't want to say he's not exciting, but he's really not exciting.
But what's, and this is a phrase I've heard people bring up before. What's a superpower? Brett Favre obviously was the arm.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes to his detriment. Aaron Rodgers was his brain.
Yeah.
Sometimes to his detriment.
Yep.
But what's Jordan Love's? Like I think if you look at a lot of the top level quarterbacks, you can probably land it. Like Josh Allen, freak athlete.
Yeah.
Just Patrick Mahomes, kind of the arm talent there. Lamar Jackson's legs,
speed. Yeah.
Like different of those top tier guys. But I mean, I think you bring up a really good point about Justin Herbert. Like he's still maybe among like this group of quarterbacks. I'm still like it's almost like he's the hypothetical quarterback. It's like, yeah, well, look at all these things. It's like, yeah, but was he done yet?
And
it's not just, and like you can say, well, he hasn't won a playoff game, but he's been bad in the playoffs. And look, his offensive line was ripped to heck last year and stuff like that. But still, like,
let me ask you this: Herbert or Lawrence, who would you rather have? Because Lawrence is not ranked high. He's like middle of the pack. I was actually surprised with some of those rankings that Jalen Hurts was like middle of the pack.
Yeah, he was pretty far down. That was the one that when I kind of saw it, when you rank it not just the top 10, but then you kind of factor in the honorable mentions and then the also receiving votes, like he was not getting a lot of love anywhere. That to me, that him being outside the top 10 was maybe a bigger surprise than like Williams over Love kind of a thing.
Because we're not far removed from him being really good in that Super Bowl. Not that far.
And even the one they lost, he was good in.
Yeah.
So, and I get he's kind of maybe a flawed player, but he's still a winning quarterback. So, but yeah,
it's in the part where I go with this too. I know Herbert was a top 5 pick, but
Lawrence was number
like
one.
this,
and he was looked at as a generational talent from when he walked
a freshman at
into the door at Clemson. Yeah. So,
and is that where it's part of it where Herbert, yes, top 5, but he goes to the Chargers and then they go to the playoffs, kind of, they.
And Trevor Lawrence, like, is this Trevor Lawrence now? Because obviously he's had, he had to deal with the Urban Meyer stuff. Like, there's been some ups and downs there.
Right.
And you're thinking, okay, maybe he's finally on firm footing that we can actually truly see who he is.
Right. The fact that you're
like it's not
pausing
it's not a slam dunk. It's like it's Herbert or it's Lawrence. So yeah, that's
going to Dak. Then I saw, because I've ragged on Dak, and I think a lot of people have ragged on Dak, and I think it was Kevin Clark yesterday. I saw this quote about. Let me see if I can find it here, but he kind of, in a similar sense, made the case for Dak what I'm saying about Jordan Love here, and he kind of, again, let me see. I don't think I saved it, but he essentially said, Dak is getting unfairly criticized because of the circus of Jerry Jones. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of see that.
Yeah, and plus, I would like to see like a year-over-year ranking of where Dallas's offensive ranked, because Dak has led like top 5, top 3 offenses in Dallas. And I mean, look, last year I think we all know why the Cowboys struggled. It wasn't the offense; it was defense. Like that's just something that they've been trying to figure out for a few years now. Remember, we're not that far removed from Mike Zimmer being the defensive coordinator there and kind of his last stop.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like, and he's one that like, yeah, like I feel like with Dak, like, and maybe, I mean, this is obviously the case probably with the Cowboys in general, like one playoff run would probably change a lot of narratives. But there's a lot of guys like that.
This was, maybe this was not, maybe it wasn't Kevin Clark. No, it's not. I'll try to. Yeah, here it is. I think Dak is the most underappreciated. He's becoming a punchline because of the sins of Jerry Jones's roster building and the Cowboys fans always overhyping their team.
Yeah.
Now, I will say there are questionable things about Dak. Like, he makes some stupid throws and decisions. I mean, we've seen that.
Yep.
But I thought that was an interesting. I'm like, okay, does in the same breath of what I am making the case for Jordan Love, I have to consider that for Dak Prescott then. Yeah. With Jerry Jones and the circus, that there is no other owner on this earth where the camera's on him more. There is no other owner who holds a post-game press conference and radio shows.
Yep.
And is the GM and all this stuff. Dallas Cowboys are the Dallas Jerry Jones.
Yes.
And to be the quarterback of that and have to deal with that, I mean, I don't know if I'd want to.
If Jerry Jones could change the star on the helmet to a picture of his face, he might do it.
Right. So I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm like, that's a great point about, because I'm not a Dak guy, but I have to take that in consideration.
Yep.
Because I think it's a legit one. But yeah, it's just, I do think it's, I almost say I feel like every year when we get to like Jordan Love and quarterbacks and talking about these, this big year, big proven year, and we could say that every single year, and we said it last year for Jordan Love. But I'm to the point where I think I think fans want to see it to make themselves feel better about it. They just, for whatever reason, for the ones that don't still believe in Jordan Love, we got to, okay, but the question should be, do you believe he's good enough to win you a championship? And I believe he is good enough to win a championship.
Well, and the thing, too, is if you look at the NFC right now, like, maybe outside of Stafford and even so, but it's like there's a lot of good quarterbacks, but there's very few great ones. Like, it's almost like the NFC is the division of the teams that make the Super Bowl. It's a roster build. It's not so much like this quarterback just taking it there, and maybe last year, obviously, with New England making it wasn't the best example, but, like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, even the Rams roster built, too. That's the thing. That's what makes them so good, too.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, okay, we just talked about Dak. Jackson Dart. We don't know yet. Philly, Jalen Hurts, but that's a roster build. We don't know if Jane Daniels is going to come back.
If he's going to be held. I mean, if he's back to what he was 2 years ago, then
right,
Washington's in contention. Like, and honestly, as a Vikings fan, that's kind of the thing that you kind of talk yourself into. Wow, well, how could the Vikings be good this year? It's like, well, you went 9-8 last year, getting some of the worst quarterback play in the league. Like, if it's Kyler Murray, like if he is 12th, your 12th best, your PFF's 12th best quarterback, which he's been in that range before. He's had some years where he's been top 10. Like, if he's in that range,
look at it this way: does he get you 2 more wins?
Yeah, if Kyler Murray's your quarterback last year, do you get 2 more wins? Do you win that game against Pittsburgh overseas? Do you win maybe that Philly game that was so back and forth? Possible.
Yeah. And that one might have been the difference, too, making the postseason.
Right.
Too.
And obviously, who knows how Green Bay plays that last game, because they didn't have to play that last game.
Right.
Maybe Green Bay plays their starters that last game, and then they beat Minnesota. Like, we don't know. Like, but that's probably, if you're like a Minnesota fan, that's probably what you can talk yourself into is, you went 9-8 last year despite some very bad quarterback play.
Yeah.
Like, that to me, I mean, that was, they had winnable games down the stretch. There was a lot of NFC East teams that, had defensive coordinators that were not with the team by the end of the year. But you also, to me, that's also something you credit Kevin O'Connell for, because he kept that, like, they were 4-8 at one point.
Yep.
It was easy for that team to be the rest of that team to be looking ahead and saying, okay, where am I going for vacation once the season's done? But they stayed focused, and that, the coach kept them focused to the point where they won those games at the end of the year.
Right.
So,
no, I agree with that too. So, all right, we got to take a quick break. Back with more as we start to wrap things up here this morning. We'll be back after these few words. All right, we are back. I don't know why they didn't play the music, or maybe it did. Oh, my computer lagged a little bit. Got sidetracked because Brandon is sitting here playing Tecmo Bowl on the.
Well, you started.
I did just to see if
You
it
got
works.
Randall Cunningham hurt.
You mean quarterback? Eagles quarterback hurt.
Eagles quarterback 0, yeah.
Eagles quarterback 0 got hurt. So, but Ernest Biner touchdown. I'll admit, Golick. Hey, how about that? That's a good name one. I forgot Jim McMahon was a backup on the Eagles.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that. So this is gonna get so sidetracked.
Hey, I didn't fumble that time.
Oh man, we got about 18 minutes left to the top of the hour here. Reminder: Brewers will be back in action tonight, and you can catch the game on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. First pitch, 6:40 tonight. Pre-game coverage will begin 35 minutes prior. And then for tomorrow's game, 3:10. 3:10 will be first pitch. And then Sunday will be 1:10. But tonight is Logan Henderson. Tomorrow, Shane Drowan. And then Sunday will be Robert Gasser on the mound. So we'll see. But it's lined up with the Marlins pitchers, too. I mean, you got Sandy going tonight. Was it Max Myers, I think, goes Saturday off the top of my head. So it's going to be.
And then Sunday, I think, is Perez.
Yes.
Yuri Perez.
Yep. So, I mean, Brewers offense, it's going to be a battle for them.
Yep. Alrighty. So.
Mm-hmm. So, but we'll get to our picks coming up here in just a little bit. But then we get Dodgers, Yankees to open up for first series starting tonight too. So, but I really hope the Brewers can get off to a fast start. I just want them to get off to a fast start because I think you got to take advantage of this portion of the schedule coming up here. Marlins are going to be tough tests. I don't want to diminish the Marlins, and Marlins have been a good team this year. Mm-hmm. So don't just assume that this is going to be easy because it's, well, the Marlins, right? So, but before we have to take another break coming up here in a few minutes and get to some picks, and that any other final thoughts on the rest of not just Brewers, but maybe looking ahead to the rest of this second half as we kick off for across Major League Baseball?
Nothing I can think of off the top of my head. Just like we talked about before, a number of good divisional race potential out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of good races going down to the wire here. I think we'll eventually maybe in one or two have a little bit of a separation of the pack.
Probably.
I mean, the NL West is already kind of a separation of the pack. I think AL East maybe it just might separate between two, depending on how Boston comes out.
Right.
And Toronto for more, not necessarily wild card, just looking at division leaders with that. But other than that, and Brewers Cubs. Don't want to discredit the Cardinals.
No, they're still hanging around.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see. But all right, let's take our break, and because we got a boatload of games to pick, including Summer League. No, I'm just kidding. World Cup games or World Cup. Yeah, we might as well because we got a third place match too. So we'll do that as we start to wrap it up here on this Friday morning. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, let's wrap up this nonsense and let's get to some picks. We actually have some baseball games to pick here, but first let's do the World Cup. All right, so we've got they got the championship and the third place match, which is tomorrow. France versus England. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with France.
This feels like a old school 18th century war.
This feels like a game that I think both teams are probably bummed they're in.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hey, you consolation type of, yeah, exactly.
You just both suffer heartbreaking losses, one game away from the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Get to play.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to go France. How about Spain and Argentina?
I'm going to take Spain.
I'm going to go Argentina. I'm going to Lionel Messi gets them to victory. So let's do, let's get to baseball picks because we got a lot of them to get to. So we'll start off with Tampa Bay and Boston.
I'm going to Tampa Bay.
I'm going to go with the Rays too. Dodgers, Yankees.
I'm going to go Dodgers.
Dodgers. I think Yankees just a little banged up yet. So let's go Pittsburgh versus Cleveland.
I am going to go with Pittsburgh.
I'll go Cleveland. How about White Sox, Toronto?
I'm going to go White Sox.
I'm going to go Toronto. Let's go Texas versus Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Twins, Cubs.
I'll go Cubs.
Baltimore, Houston.
Houston.
Yeah, I'll go Houston. Padres, Royals.
Padres.
I will go with the Padres too. Let's go Reds and Rockies.
I'm going to go with the Reds.
Tigers, Angels.
Ooh, I'm going to go Tigers.
I'm going to go Tigers. Cardinals, Diamondbacks.
I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks.
I'll go Diamondbacks too. Washington versus the A's.
I'm going to go with Washington.
Nationals. Giants, Seattle. Yeah, I'll go Seattle. And they played last night. They don't play today. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. The Mets and Phillies. I think Phillies bounce back even though they lost last night. And
yeah.
They'll win the series. So, all right. I think that's all of them. Do it. What?
You're forgetting one.
Which one? Oh, Brewers. Yeah, I said the. Always say that for the last, but it's never the last one, so I always skip over it. So thanks for giving me that frown. Brewers. Marlins.
I'm going to take the Marlins. I just have a feeling. I think they're going to take
I got
2 or 3.
I got a feeling
that
tonight's going to be a good night. More than a feeling, Boston. Yeah, it's Boston. More than a feeling, yeah. I'm going to go Marlins too. 1 out of 2. Or no, excuse me. Brewers. Marlins win, but 2 out of 1. Brewers only win 1 game. That's what I'm trying to say, and I can't spit it out. So, all right. So, all right. Those are your picks for this Friday. So, heading into the weekend as baseball is back.
We
got Express in action. They're on the road tomorrow against Rochester. Big series because it's between Rochester and the Express. Waterloo's only a half game out. So Rochester on the road Saturday, but then Rochester comes Sunday. I know the Axemen are on the road against Iowa. So we got Legion baseball going on too.
17U regionals are this week in Eau Claire. Next week, 19U regionals are in Chippewa. That's where Eau Claire is. Chippewa is there, obviously, as well. And then the 17U state tournament is in Chippewa this year, and I believe that's at the end of next week, if my memory is correct.
Okay.
So I'm sure we'll have some local teams in action there as well. And then we are not far away.
Right.
Not far away from the calendar turning to August. Obviously, that means the Kasper Classic, but also the start of the 26-27 high school athletic school year.
Yeah. That's kind of be kind of crazy to think about, right? I mean, that's
jumps up.
It's insane. So, but okay, I'm trying to figure out what this Todd person commenting on. But all right, I'll have to look at it later. So getting sidetracked on Facebook stuff. But anyways, gosh, yeah, it's hard to believe that. So, all right. Final thoughts, Brewers, Marlins?
I would like to be wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not, my pick is not indicative of me thinking like, oh, they're going down, like they're trending down, blah, 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 blah. I mean, the Pittsburgh series, it's just funny. By the way, this 2027 schedule, the Brewers do not end the first half in Pittsburgh.
How about that?
Yeah, they do have another, I think it's their longest road trip of the year right before the All-Star break, which I actually like because you have that long trip and then you're off.
Mm-hmm. So if you didn't see the schedule, they do open up at home against the Angels. Right?
It's weird because, they open and close against AL teams.
Okay.
The other weird thing, no weekend Brewers-Cubs games.
Ooh.
Which is interesting.
Ooh.
Not a single.
I haven't had a chance to really dive into it.
I took a decent look at it last night, but I didn't deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested because the Brewers-Twins game in Minnesota, I have a feeling that's going to be opening weekend of NFL. Because it's in middle of, it's that,
why?
I believe that's, third weekend, so maybe not, no, second weekend, my bad. So that 10th, 11th, and 12th of September.
Yeah, I see that now. Son of a gun. When do the, okay.
I mean, we won't know that 2027 schedule for a while yet, so.
Right, but still. Which means then the Twins come to Milwaukee earlier in the season?
They actually open the second half of the season in Milwaukee.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
right there. Yep.
And once again, they have a big road trip, and then they have a big homestand.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, so Angels, Braves, Sox, really AL heavy to open up.
Like this year was, yeah.
Yankees again in. Okay. I'm just seeing what else kind of pops on this. But yeah, you're right. The first time they play the Cubs is a Monday through Thursday. Game.
All of those games are midweek series.
Wow.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Do they only? I'm just okay. Yeah. Then April or end of March. Wow. Yeah, you're right. Happy accident or on purpose? You think?
I'm sure probably happy accident, but that's weird.
It is. Gosh darn it! I wish that Twins one at Minnesota was earlier, like June. June's perfect.
Like June or July. I really enjoy those.
Mm-hmm. Son of a gun. Okay.
Although maybe it'll work out for me, and I could do like a Saturday Brewers Twins game and a Sunday Vikings game if they open at home.
Well, look at you looking at it that way.
Look at me.
Or we could really have some fun with this, Brandon. Maybe Green Bay, Minnesota. Green Bay plays in Minnesota.
What are the odds they open up in Minnesota 2 years in a row?
High, because the NFL schedule makers are just
they do
idiots.
like to copy off their own work.
Yeah. That would be kind of fun. If that were to happen, we might have to do something with that. That would be cool. Why not? Do it up, right?
Cheering for the same team one day and not the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. So we'll wait and see. We're not going to know that till next May. So
right, yeah.
Why does baseball release their schedule so early like
this?
And
the weird thing too I saw is that baseball and the NHL both release their schedules on the same day.
Okay.
Which is kind of goofy. Like the NFL would never want to risk having anything but everyone's attention.
The funny part in this too, really quick, is this it just popped up yesterday. There was no big hoopla release day. We're gonna have shows. We're gonna do this. Break it down like the end. Oh, here's the schedule for next year.
There you go. It used to be that way for everyone.
And yeah.
And then the NFL said, "Hey, you know what we could do?
We're gonna make more money off this and
hype something up."
Yep. And we're all going to suck into it and buy into it. Because here's the thing, too. We talked about this at the end. NFL schedule is probably talked about earlier in the program because it gets hyped up so much more. But I think part of it, though, too, is really quick. We're still finishing this season.
Yes. And there's just so many games.
Right.
And you play everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all right. Shot clock's going to cut us off. Have a fantastic weekends, everybody. We'll be back at it again Monday morning, back in the TDS Sports Talk studios. Hopefully talking about a Brewers series win and then previewing the Mets coming to town. So, again, stay safe, stay cool, and if the smoke does come back, stay safe out there, too. Have a good weekend. Talk to you Monday.